Your jaw tightens, shoulders creep toward your ears. The phone buzzes again, a tiny electric hornet under your palm. Your thoughts gather speed like rainwater in a gutter, dragging leaves and grit until it's all rushing noise. You scan the room for an exit, but the problem lives inside you, heat in your face, a tremor in your breath, a narrowing tunnel you keep trying to outrun. The day feels huge. The next hour feels impossible. One more request, one more ping, and something in you wants to snap or disappear. Sound familiar? Here's the promise. You don't need to master the day. You will win the next minute on purpose. By shifting just 3%, stealing blood flow back from panic to choice, and setting a cascade you can repeat anywhere with anyone without permission. You will not white-knuckle your way through. You'll learn a precise reset you can feel in your body and prove to your brain in 60 seconds. The 3% rule of resilience starts small on purpose. 3% is the tiniest tilt a plane needs to change its destination by hundreds of miles. It's also the amount of effort your nervous system will accept when it's already maxed out. The aim is not heroics, it's leverage. When stress hits, your amygdala floods your body with urgency and steals resources from your planning center. Think of it as lights dimming in the prefrontal cortex. The 3% rule says, don't fight the blackout, light one match. A 3% shift, one slow exhale longer than usual, one sentence rewritten, one shoulder dropped, gives your brain proof that you have options. Options switch on circuitry for calm. Calm brings back clarity. Clarity chooses the next wise inch. Right now, notice your breath. Don't fix it yet. Just feel the cool at the nostrils on the in-breath, the warmer air leaving on the out. Feel the heaviness of your tongue resting against the floor of your mouth. Unclench your toes inside your shoes. The small things are doorways. Your physiology is a user interface, not a mystery. When you tug one tiny lever, your whole system reads the message, safe enough to think. Here is your first named framework, the Minutwin Protocol. It has 4 steps you can run while standing in line, sitting at a desk, or pausing in a doorway where no one notices. First, mark. Name what's happening in 6 words or fewer. I'm flooded, I want to hide. Second, melt. A 4-4-6 breath. Inhale for 4, hold for 4, exhale for 6. And on the exhale, release one muscle group by 3%. Third, map. Ask a 2-question reframe. What matters in the next 60 seconds? What is the smallest wise action? Fourth, move. Take the action immediately, even if it's micro. Send a 1-line reply, drink water, ask for a number, write the first 5 words of the task. The protocol compresses science into a sequence. Breath lengthens the exhale to cue the vagus nerve. Naming the state reduces amygdala fire. A tiny action gives your striatum a win it can repeat. Let's install it with a story. In a fluorescent conference room, Lena watched a proposal go sideways. The client's eyebrows pinched. Her teammate started over-explaining. Heat climbed Lena's neck. She felt the familiar narrowing. If she spoke, she'd ramble. If she stayed silent, the meeting would calcify into no. Under the table, she pressed her fingertips together. Mark, I'm flooded, I want to hide. Melt, silent 4-4-6, softening her shoulders 3% on the long exhale. Map what matters in the next 60 seconds. Ask one clarifying question. Move, can we zoom into the one metric you care about this quarter? The room exhaled with her. The client named the metric. The meeting found a new path. No motivational speech, no grand strategy, a small tilt that re-aimed the hour. Notice your own body again, temperature on your skin, the way your spine meets the chair or the invisible string pulling the crown of your head a centimeter taller. You are not trying to become a statue, you are adjusting the mix of signals your nervous system reads. Your brain's reticular activating system, the RAS, your internal notice, this filter, will amplify whatever you tag as relevant. When you mark "I'm flooded" and then ask, "What matters in the next 60 seconds?" You retag relevance from "threat everywhere" to "one target now." That retagging is why a single minute twin can change the feel of an entire afternoon. The second framework is the window widen. Stress narrows perspective. You will widen it just enough to see a choice. The steps are simple. Name, normalize, nudge. Name the weather. "I'm having the thought that I can't do this." Normalize the biology. "Of course my amygdala is loud. Alarms are its job." Nudge the window. "If I were 3% calmer, what would I see?" This is not pretending everything is fine. It's inviting one more pixel of reality into view. That pixel is often the precise instruction your next minute needs. Here's the micro drill that cements both frameworks. The 3 notches reset. Choose 3 tiny dials you can turn by a notch in under 10 seconds each. Breath notch, 1-4-4-6 cycle. Body notch, drop your shoulder blades down and back a finger's width. Soften your jaw by letting the molars unglue. Language notch, replace a catastrophic sentence with a directional one. "Everything's ruined" becomes "find the next lever." 3 notches, 3% calmer, 60 seconds reclaimed. Pause with me. Feel the weight of your phone in your hand or the edges of your keyboard under your fingers. Hear the faintest sound in the room, a fan, distant traffic, a refrigerator's hum. Let the exhale be a shade longer than the inhale. You don't need to persuade yourself with arguments. You are teaching your body a pattern. Pattern beats willpower. Why this works in plain terms: high emotion accelerates heart rate and breathing, which your brain reads as evidence of danger. It then prioritizes fast, simple reactions. You can't outthink this with brute logic, but a longer exhale tells your baroreceptors pressure is easing and the vagus nerve signals stand down. Naming your state reduces limbic noise just enough for the prefrontal cortex to come back online. A tiny action provides feedback. We can do something. It's a loop you can run in under a minute. That loop, repeated, rewires. Neuroplasticity is attention plus repetition plus emotion. Each minute-win is all 3. A scene from your own life. The inbox is a wall of red badges. A message from your boss arrives with "quick fix." In the subject, your chest tightens. You want to hide in a tab you don't need, snack you don't want, story that hurts. Run the minute-win protocol without drama. Mark, "overloaded, I want to avoid." Melt, 1-4-4-6, shoulders drop. Map, what matters in 60 seconds. Reply with one ask for clarity. Move, what deadline and scope would you prefer? I can propose 2 options. You didn't complete the project. You created traction, and traction changes your chemistry. Feel your feet. Spread your toes inside your socks. Let your breath brush the back of your throat like a friendly breeze. This is not about becoming a monk in a mess. It's about creating a sanctuary room inside the mess and stepping there for 1 minute at a time. The sanctuary is not a place, it's a protocol you carry. You might worry this is too small to matter. You've tried big plans before, they collapse under their own weight. That's the point. The 3% rule slips under the alarm's threshold. Your survival brain is allergic to massive change when it's alarmed. It loves small wins that feel safe. Every time you repeat a minute win, you strengthen the identity that chooses. You move from "I am someone who gets swept" to "I am someone who can tilt the moment." That identity shift is not a slogan. It's a sensation, more space behind the eyes, less clamp in the throat, a cleaner line from intention to action. Another vignette. Amir, a young developer working late, watched his screen blur with lines of code that refused to cooperate. Deadline at midnight. Slack blinking. A heat like embarrassment rose even though no one was there. He almost hurled the problem at a colleague with a nervous message. Instead, he stood, placed a palm against the cool wall, and ran window widen. I'm having the thought that I'm in over my head. Of course alarms are loud, it's late and I care. If I were 3% calmer, what would I see? He saw one test he hadn't isolated. Minutwin, he wrote a single failing test, then refocused. The solution arrived not because he muscled through, but because he made enough space for his higher brain to do the thing it's good at. Check your jaw again. Let the tongue rest heavy. Imagine the mental weather as clouds moving across a sky that is not in a hurry. You are the sky. The clouds are dramatic, but they're not in charge. You are the awareness, not the emotion. When you hear yourself say this, let your shoulders lower by exactly one notch, as if the sentence itself has weight you can set down. A technical aside, kept human, your negativity bias evolved to keep you alive, not happy. It tags potential threat 5 times louder than potential ease, so you'll notice the problem first and most, and remember it longer. The antidote is not forced positivity, it's deliberate salience. When you run Mark Melt Map Move, you teach your RAS to highlight a narrow task over a wide fear. When you run Name Normalize Nudge, you teach your amygdala that alarm is data, not destiny. Over time, your baseline changes. The first impulse is still fast, but your second impulse arrives sooner, kinder, more useful. Let's practice a 1-minute field drill you can use anywhere. Stand or sit tall enough to feel the length of your spine, soft eyes or close them if it's safe. Whisper inside your head, Mark, choose your 6 words, whisper, melt. Run 1446 and drop the shoulder blades. Whisper, map. Ask the 2 questions and actually listen. Whisper, move. Do the smallest wise action now. If nothing external makes sense, do this internal action. Write 1 helpful sentence in your notes about the problem. The drill is complete when you have done something tiny that aligns with what matters. That alignment is the minute you just won. Let another sensory beat anchor it. The air at your wrists, the subtle warmth where your palm rests on your thigh, the floor holding you up without condition. These are not poetic extras, they are signals your nervous system trusts. Safety in the body equals space in the mind. You might ask, what about big goals, promotions, relationships, health? The 3% rule does not shrink your ambitions, it gives them a delivery system. Giant aims die when every moment must prove the whole dream. The Minutwin is agnostic about dreams and ruthless about the now. It will carry any purpose you attach to it, brick by brick, calm inch by calm inch. You don't have to believe this today. You only have to run the protocol twice when you'd rather spin. Proof beats belief. One last story to seal the first chapter. Priya visited her parents for the first time since a hard argument. As she stepped onto the porch, old patterns stirred, tight chest, quick breath, the urge to defend. She paused with her hand on the brass doorknob, cool and heavy. Mark, I'm bracing for attack. Melt 446, soften the jaw. Map, what matters in the next 60 seconds? Greet with warmth and 1 boundary. Move, I'm so glad to see you. If a tough topic comes up, can we set a time later to really hear each other? The conversation that night wasn't perfect, but it was human. She didn't win the visit. She won minute after minute until the night added up to something kinder. Breathe once more. Feel the inhale lift your ribs, the exhale fall a fraction longer. Let the room's sounds return. The 3% rule is now installed. The small tilt that wins the next minute, not the day. The first tool, the Minutwin protocol, and the second, the window widen, are yours. Use them today when the ping lands, when the face tightens, when the story starts to run. Each time you step into the identity you were always allowed, the chooser inside the storm. You woke up with a knot in your stomach and the day already arguing its case. Before your feet touched the floor, your mind ran inventory, deadlines, a message thread you dread, a body that feels half-charged. Yesterday, you ran the Minutwin protocol twice and felt something, space flickering on like a hallway light. Today, you'll wire that space into habit, not with pressure. With the 3% rule applied to the first 90 seconds of your morning, and to the moments that try to steal your steering wheel. Begin with the 90-second weather rule. Your emotions often crest like a wave and thin out within 90 seconds if you stop feeding them new fuel. Biology first. A burst of catecholamines surges, heart rate jumps, your amygdala rings the bell. If you don't add stories, the chemicals metabolize quickly. So when you wake with that knot, you will not wrestle it. You will watch the weather pass. The method is clean, feel, name, breathe, and let the wave complete. For 1.5 minutes, you'll practice staying in the body while refusing to argue with the mind. That's the difference between a passing cloud and a storm you keep recirculating. Slide your feet to the floor. Notice the coolness of the surface touching your heels, the way your arches register pressure. Let your jaw unclench by a hair. Whisper in your head, weather. Now name the clouds with a simple label, morning nerves. Place your right palm on your lower ribs, left palm on your heart. Inhale through your nose for 4, hold for a calm 4. Exhale a slow 6, the air warmer across your lip as it leaves. Count 2 more cycles without trying to fix anything. You're not chasing calm, you're becoming spacious. As you exhale, let your shoulders drop by 3%, as if the body is setting a more generous frame around the day. A story to make this real. Yi, an early career nurse on a surgical ward, used to dread the pre-shift briefing. Too many variables, too many eyes. Every morning her chest would buzz like a fluorescent light about to flicker out. She tried pumping herself up with podcasts. She tried caffeine as courage. Mostly, she tried to outrun the feeling. It didn't work. Then she learned the 90-second weather rule. On a particularly heavy week, she stood in the stairwell before the briefing, fingers on the cool metal rail. She labeled the sensation elevation. She ran 3 slow 4-4-6 cycles, allowing the tightness to exist while the breath moved below it. 90 seconds later, nothing dramatic had changed, except the most important thing. She no longer believed the feeling was a command. She walked in, asked one clear question about her most complex patient, and the charge in her chest sat beside her instead of on her back. That morning didn't need a new personality. It needed a window to stay open long enough for her skills to breathe. Here's your second named framework today, the 3% compass. It points you toward the smallest alignment that meaningfully changes your trajectory. When your mind shouts in absolutes, always, never, doomed, the compass asks 4 quiet check-ins and picks 1 degree of course correction. You begin by orienting to values in the present tense. Whisper, right now, I am a person who values clarity, kindness, and steady effort. Feel how saying, I am, is different from I want to be. Then ask, what 1 notch would bring me 3% closer to those values in the next minute? The answer might be a softer tone in your hello, 1 line of clarity in an email, or a single focused minute before you open a browser tab. The compass does not care about optics. It cares about direction. Pause and test it. Feel the fabric at your collarbone or the weight of your hair where it meets your neck. Hear the distant hum of traffic or the buzz of a light. Say quietly, I am the person who chooses tiny alignments. And then ask your compass for 1 notch. Maybe it's stand to drink water, or open the document and write a working title, or send the text that removes guesswork. When you move, it's not random, it's oriented. That orientation builds a sense of being internally led, not externally shoved. Why these two frameworks pair well: the weather rule stops the spin without suppressing your inner life. The compass prevents the void after the spin from filling with old autopilot. You metabolize the surge, then you select the next inch. The nervous system learns that energy can move through, and the mind learns it can channel that energy with intention. Over time, urgency stops masquerading as importance. Importance starts feeling quieter, cleaner, and closer. Let's bring this to the workplace in a moment you know too well. The calendar notification pops up for a meeting you didn't prepare for because 5 other fires burned hotter. Your stomach pinches, your focus splinters. The old pattern is to open 10 tabs and scan noise. Instead, run the 90-second weather rule. Feel the pinch and label it anticipation. Breath 4-4-6, 3 rounds. Keep your eyes soft. Then check the 3% compass. If you were 3% more aligned with clarity, what would you do? Perhaps you skim the last meeting's notes for one anchor question. Perhaps you craft a single sentence to set context when the meeting opens. You do that, and you arrive one notch steadier. The meeting may still be messy, but now you're steering your minute inside it. Notice your hands. Are they cool or warm? Is there a slight tremor when you hold them in front of you, or a steady hum? Let your exhale brush the soft palate as if you're fogging a mirror with your mouth closed. The body is a steadying rail, the way the wall steadied Amir last time. Your awareness makes contact, your identity chooses. Another story, this one in a relationship. Sloane and her partner, Luca, had a recurring argument that felt scripted. It began with a casual question about money, escalated through a maze of defensiveness, and ended with cold silence. One night, mid-escalation, Sloane felt the familiar heat climb her chest. She had practiced the weather rule for mornings. Now she tried it at 8:37 p.m. on a Tuesday. She leaned against the kitchen counter, cool stone under her palms. "I'm having the thought that I'm under attack," she named inside. 3 slow 4-4-6 cycles, eyes on the glint of water in a glass. The wave crested and thinned. She picked up the 3% compass. "If I were 3% closer to kindness and clarity, what would I say?" She didn't make a speech. She said, "I want to understand your concern before I defend my plan. Can you say it in one sentence?" The argument didn't vanish, it rerouted. A small realignment, a minute reclaimed, a pattern slightly less sticky. By the end of the week, they had fewer cold silences and more small course corrections. Resilience at home is the same material as resilience at work: attention, breath, and choice, stitched to your values. Your brain's attention system is trainable. The reticular activating system will keep elevating what you repeatedly tag as critical. If your mornings begin with doom scrolling, you tag threat. If your minute begins with weather watching and compass checking, you tag agency. The circuitry for choice thickens the same way a path in grass becomes a trail. The first week, you'll need reminders. By week 3, the body will begin proposing a long exhale before you consciously ask. That's neuroplasticity with manners. The brain learns your preference and offers it. A micro-drill to grease this groove is the wrist anchor. Pick an object you always wear or carry: watch, bracelet, ring, key ring, and link it to the weather rule. Every time you notice the object, run 1/92nd weather watch wherever you are, even if your mood is fine. You're not extinguishing fires, you're rehearsing. On hard days, the anchor will glow in your peripheral vision like a friend across a crowded room. Your hand will find it, the breath will start itself. You can also pair the compass with a doorway. Each time you pass through a doorway, whisper 3% toward values, and then choose one micro-action in the room you're entering. The habit nests in places you already move through. Take in a sensory beat now. The scent in the room, faint coffee or clean laundry or nothing at all. The way air moves across your forearms when you shift. The warmth pooling in your thighs where they meet the chair. Without judgment, let your next exhale lengthen by a count of one more than last time. The arithmetic of calm is small and cumulative. You might notice resistance bubbling up. A voice says, 90 seconds won't fix my mess, or 3% is insulting when the gap is a canyon. Respect that voice. It's trying to keep you from disappointment. Then give it data. Remember Lena's question inside a failing meeting, Yee's steady stairwell, Sloane's pivot. None of them solved their lives in a minute. They reclaimed authorship of a page. In a book that matters, a page at a time is the only honest way the story moves. Here's a practice to end your day that multiplies tomorrow's minutes, the one-line carry. At night, when you feel the pull to scroll yourself numb, trade 1 minute for a sentence. Open a note and write, tomorrow my first 3% notch is, finish it truthfully and small. Boil water and make tea before email. Ask for a 15-minute scope call. Put running shoes by the door. Then put the phone down and feel the weight of the pillow under your cheek, the coolness where the sheets meet your calves, the slow settling of your breath. Your mind will try to reopen the day. You will remind it that you have a compass and a weather report waiting in the morning. Your nervous system trusts you when you keep tiny promises. Keep this one. Another vignette for the skeptic in you. Dev, a founder juggling product delays and investor conversations, felt like he lived inside a permanent alarm. One Thursday, a key hire backed out. His throat tightened and the familiar spin began. Everything is breaking, I'm not cut out for this. He stood, walked to the window and touched the cool glass with his fingertips as if plugging into ground. Weather rule, grief wave, 3 long cycles. Compass 3% towards steady effort, he heard himself think. He wrote a 2-line update for his team, clear, calm, and specific, and then he sent one message to a candidate he respected. Lunch tomorrow, I want your take. The company did not turn around overnight, but Dev did. He became the sort of leader who answers alarms with presence and pivots by inches. That identity shift translated to choices his team could feel. As you listen, check your face. Soften the space between your eyebrows. Let your eyes rest on a single object and notice one detail, texture, shadow, color, that you've never studied. This small act is proof you can retag salience. You are not a passive receiver of the loudest stimulus. You are a conductor deciding what gets more volume. When overwhelm surges midday, stack the 2 frameworks into a single minute called the quiet arrow. Point it, release it, and let it fly. The arrow's shaft is your exhale. Its tip is a 1-sentence intention. You pull the breath back for 4, hold steady, and let the 6 count release through slightly parted lips. As the breath leaves, whisper the sentence, aim at the next true thing, then do it. Make the call, ask the question, write the subject line, take the sip of water. Feel the arrow land. The mind likes metaphors it can feel. Give it one that moves. You are not erasing intensity. You are learning to harness it. Some days you'll ride a quick series of minute wins like stepping stones across a stream. Some days you'll miss a stone and splash knee-deep. Then remember the weather rule on the bank and the compass in your pocket. On those days, tenderness is your accelerant. Shame slows neuroplasticity, curiosity speeds it. When you catch yourself late, say, noted, and run a late reset. The brain does not punish late arrivals. It welcomes repetitions. One last breath before we close this chapter. Inhale and feel the ribs rise like a quiet tide. Hold with softness, not force. Exhale longer, warmer, and feel your shoulders drop by exactly 1 notch. See the room without rushing to label it. Hear the faintest sound you can hear. Sense the ground loyal under you. In this stillness, remember, you are the awareness, not the emotion. The weather is visiting, the sky remains. You will take the 90-second weather rule into your mornings and your flare-ups. You will steer with the 3% compass when your values feel too far away to matter. You will practice the wrist anchor and the doorway reminder, not as chores, but as friendly taps on the shoulder. With each minute you win, the next one gets easier to recognize and reach for. The day may still be big. You do not have to win the day. You only have to keep winning the smallest honest minute you can find. Those minutes will accumulate into something that looks suspiciously like a life you meant to live. You've begun to notice it. The moments that steal your steering wheel usually arrive disguised as kindness, urgency, or just a quick thing. A teammate says, "Can you take a look?" A family member texts, "Got a sec?" Your own mind whispers, "Check that notification before you start." You feel the micro-flinch, the slight rise in your breathing, the tug to please or to postpone. If you say yes to everything, your minutes are colonized. If you swing to no for everything, you harden. Resilience needs a flexible spine and clear edges. Today, you'll build edges without becoming sharp. You'll do it with a boundary you can feel in your body and a focus you can hear in your head. Enter your next named framework, the focus fence. Picture a small, waist-high fence around the next 60 seconds. It's not a prison, it's a garden border. Inside the fence lives one meaningful inch. Outside the fence lives all of reality, emails, pings, anxious fantasies. For 1 minute, you will keep company with the inch inside. The structure is simple: plant, protect, persist, and pause. Plant is a sentence that defines your inch. For 1 minute, I will outline the first 3 lines of the report. Protect is a physical cue you can see and touch. Put the phone face down behind you or flip your browser to full screen. Persist is a single breath pattern, 4-4-6, repeated once when your focus wobbles. Pause is the deliberate end. You lift your eyes, celebrate the inch, and then choose the next. The fence works because it translates intention into 3 concrete signals your brain can measure: a sentence, an object position, and a breath. Your RAS loves specifics. Give it something to guard. Feel your chair under your hips, the way the cushion gives and then supports. Rub your thumb across the pad of your index finger and feel the ridges. Hear the smallest sound, a distant car or the soft click of an appliance. Build a fence right now with a sentence. For 1 minute, I will listen to my breath. Move the phone behind you or place it in a bag. Take 1-4-4-6. There, you planted, you protected, you persisted. When you lift your eyes, notice the faint warmth in your chest that says, "I did what I said for a tiny while." That warmth is credibility with yourself. Credibility is resilience's favorite food. A story: Matteo, a designer in a startup, kept losing afternoons to helpfulness. People liked him because he saved projects at the last minute, but he was quietly drowning. One Thursday, with a deadline looming, he installed the focus fence around a 60-minute block broken into minute wins. He planted each minute with a micro-sentence, moved his phone into a drawer, and returned to breath every wobble. 10 minutes in, his manager pinged, "Quick eyes on this." The old reflex surged, jump, apologize to his own work, scramble. Instead, he ran another framework you'll learn now: the boundary bridge. He typed, "Heads down for the next 25 minutes on the deliverable we aligned on. I can review yours at 35 and give a focused response in 5 lines." He kept his fence, offered a bridge, and stayed human. The manager replied, "Perfect." The world didn't punish Matteo. It reorganized around his clarity. The boundary bridge has 3 planks: name, need, next. You name what you're protecting in neutral language. I'm in a focus block. You state the need without apology. I need 25 minutes to finish this section with quality. You offer the next exact step and time. I'll reply at 35 with a summary, or we can touch base for 10 minutes at 40. This turns a hard no into a clear path. Your nervous system expects backlash. What it usually gets is relief, yours and theirs. People prefer a dependable bridge to a resentful yes. Check your shoulders, drop them one notch. Let the tongue rest heavy again. Inhale as if you're drinking cool air through a straw. Exhale as if you're warming a window. Boundaries aren't a personality trait, they're a nervous system arrangement. When your body signals safety and choice, your voice carries ease instead of edge. The same sentence lands friendlier from a regulated body. This is not performance, it's stewardship. A relationship story to anchor this at home. Nia's sister loved spontaneous calls that stretched to an hour. Nia loved her sister and also loved not derailing her evenings. Every time she saw the name flash, her stomach tightened, and she either ignored the call and felt guilty or answered and felt trapped. She built a boundary bridge script she could say from a relaxed jaw. I want to give you full attention. I have 15 minutes now or a longer window tomorrow at 7. Which is better? The first time her sister laughed, "Miss Boundaries." Then she picked tomorrow at 7, and they had a calmer conversation than they'd had in months. Nia noticed the temperature of her evenings drop from simmering resentment to steady warmth. She wasn't colder, she was clearer. Now another piece of the focus fence, the distraction catcher. When your mind throws you check this, check that, you'll catch those with a single-page later list in view. Each urge becomes a four-word jot: email Maria Ray invoice, search hotel dates, look up API. Writing the urge down satisfies your RAS that the item exists and frees working memory. The catch turns interruption into inventory. At the end of your minute or your block, the compass returns and chooses the next inch. Feel the fabric against the back of your knees. Notice the temperature at the tips of your ears. Let your breath lengthen again. The body marks the page. You are here, you are guided, you are not at the mercy of every tug. Why this matters in your brain. When you set a clear, time-bound intention and create physical and linguistic scaffolds, the prefrontal cortex takes the wheel. Each time a distraction arises and you neither indulge nor fight it, just note it and return, you weaken the habit loop of stimulus right arrow automatic response. You're not suppressing, you're shaping. Dopamine releases not just when you finish, but when you make measurable progress toward a valued aim. The fence and bridge turn progress into something you can feel every minute. Here's your micro-drill trilogy for this chapter, stitched into a single minute, called The Gatekeeper. Stand or sit tall. Whisper, plant, and name your inch. Whisper, protect, and reposition one object as your visual cue. Whisper, bridge, and prewrite the one-sentence boundary you'll use if interrupted. Run 1446. Begin. If an interruption arrives, deliver your bridge and return inside the fence. The gatekeeper is practicing smoothness. No hostility, no apology, just continuity. 1 minute that glides. A work vignette from a remote team. Arjun, a product manager, faced a calendar that looked like Tetris designed by a trickster god. He installed fence hours, 2 mornings a week, where his status read building specs, back at 11:00. He made a shared boundary bridge template in the team wiki with friendly language anyone could copy. The team began to coordinate around the build hours and found that more decisions were clearer because they emerged from quiet work, not flurried chats. The company didn't get less responsive, it got saner. Arjun's pulse stopped doing the hummingbird thing every time Slack dinged. His identity shifted from human router to builder who communicates. The minute twins had added up to culture. You'll meet resistance inside yourself too. Guilt says, "Who do you think you are?" Scarcity says, "If I don't say yes now, opportunities will vanish." People-pleasing says, "Keeping others calm is my job." Here's your second framework for the day to answer those voices, the permission ledger. It's a 2-sentence practice that writes a new contract with your nervous system. Sentence 1 names what your old contract promised. I used to buy safety by saying yes before I checked my values. Sentence 2 writes the new terms. I now buy trust by naming my fence and offering a bridge. Whisper it before you deliver a boundary. The ledger settles your body steadies your voice. Let a sensory beat underline the new contract. Feel the ring or watch against your skin. If your wrists are bare, feel the subtle pulse at the base of your thumb. Let your inhale lift the base of your skull a millimeter. Let your exhale lengthen the back of your neck. You're not bracing to protect a wall. You're relaxing into a shape you chose. Another story, this time about self-boundaries. Layla wanted to write a graduate application statement, but kept finding herself cleaning the kitchen, reorganizing apps, deep diving on pens. She realized her most charming procrastinator voice sounded helpful. She installed a focus fence for a single minute. Write the first ugly sentence. She put the phone in a different room, took 1446, and began. The sentence was clumsy. The minute ended. She paused and smiled because clumsy exists. She repeated the minute 3 times with a short walk between. By noon, she had a messy first page. Layla didn't conquer procrastination. She fenced it out of 1 minute long enough to plant a flag. The flag mattered more than any mood she had about it. Your attention is a garden. The fence is the border. The compass is the sun. The weather rule is the watering schedule. The bridge is the gate where visitors sign in. If a deer jumps the fence, you don't burn the garden, you repair the gap and replant. Resilience is maintenance, not drama. Let's rehearse a tricky moment. Imagine you are mid-focus fence when a senior leader calls your name in a meeting. What's your take right now? Your chest tightens, the mind scrambles. You deploy a micro-bridge in real time, 2-sentence take now, full rationale in 5. Then you deliver honesty. My take is yes if we keep scope to X and Y. Risk arises if we assume Z. I'll send the 2 trade-offs at 20. You have just protected clarity without freezing the room. The boundary wasn't a delay tactic. It was precision. You trained for this with 1-minute drills. Now you're playing on a larger field with the same muscles. Feel the coolness in your nostrils again. Hear one sound you can't control and let it be. Place your palm on your lower ribs and feel the rise. When you breathe this way while naming your fence, your voice comes out rounder. Others feel your steadiness and mirror it. Co-regulation is contagious, so is chaos. You get to decide which you export. Let's add a recovery tool for when you blow it, because you will. You'll overpromise, break your fence, ghost a friend, or snap under pressure. The framework is called the reset receipt. It's a 1-minute acknowledgement you write to yourself after a wobble. Today at 2:15, I said yes to a request that cost me focus. I felt anxious and rushed, then resentful. Next time, I'll run the boundary bridge with name, need next, and offer a clear time. My next micro-repair is to send a clarifying note by 3:00. You're not punishing, you're documenting learning. The brain loves receipts, proof of purchase for the identity you're buying. A small breath now. Lengthen the exhale. Let your hands rest heavy, fingertips uncurling by a hair. See the edges of the objects around you, the clean lines of a table, the curve of a mug. Boundaries are visual in the world, they can be felt in you. Science as a friendly note. The anterior cingulate cortex monitors conflict between your intention and your action. When you practice fence and bridge, you reduce that conflict signal because your actions match your stated priorities. Less conflict equals less internal static. Less static means your prefrontal cortex can hold a goal and ignore noise. You're not becoming a productivity robot. You're becoming a human whose actions rhyme with values in real time. One more vignette to bring heart to the mechanics. Omar's mother fell ill, and he became the hub for updates between doctors and relatives. Every ping felt sacred and heavy. Work still needed his attention, and guilt lived in his throat. He built a boundary bridge announcement for family. I'm collecting updates 9:10 a.m. and 5:06 p.m. and will send summaries then. Urgent medical changes will come immediately. He set a focus fence at work around essential tasks and put his phone in a drawer outside those hours. He expected pushback. Instead, relatives wrote, "Thank you for clarity." The hospital days were still hard, but his minutes became bearable. He learned that boundaries were not walls against love, they were channels for it. You are the awareness, not the emotion. You are also the gardener, not the weather. Every time you plant a sentence, protect it with an object, and persist with a breath, you vote for an identity. I am someone who makes space for what matters and guides others across with kindness. Let that line sit in your chest for a beat. Is there more room behind your eyes? Does the jaw soften? Do the shoulders feel less like armor and more like wings hanging easy at your sides? Close this chapter with a live practice. Pick one task in front of you, plant the inch in a sentence, protect it by moving one object, persist with a 4-4-6 and begin for 60 seconds. If a tug appears, deliver a bridge, name, need, next. When the minute ends, pause, eyes up, inhale, a tiny nod. You just won a minute without borrowing against your self-respect. That's the economy you're building now. In the spaces between minutes, remember the quiet repetitions that braid into a habit. The wrist anchor, the one-line carry, the gatekeeper, the reset receipt. These aren't chores, they're little lights along a hallway you're walking again and again. Each light makes the next step easier to see. Soon, others will notice your steadiness and borrow your language. You'll become the person who brings oxygen into rooms, not because you fix everyone's fires, but because you refuse to let your own fire burn unattended. Breathe once more, cool in, warm out. Feel the ground hold your weight without conditions. Let your attention rest on a single useful object for one heartbeat longer than you normally would. When you lift your eyes, carry this sentence with you, win the next minute with edges and warmth. The fence and the bridge are both yours. There's a point in every spiral where your words turn against you. Not just the words you speak out loud, but the ones that spool under your breath. I always mess this up. They never listen. I'll never catch up. Each sentence is a match. Your nervous system is the tinder. You don't notice you're narrating yourself into a corner until the corner becomes a room with no door. Today, you'll learn to build the door. Not with affirmation sugar, but with language that changes physiology, perception, and action in under a minute. You will redirect your reticular activating system with surgical phrasing, and you will turn raw emotion into clean fuel. The day won't get quieter by chance. Your words will make the quiet. Begin with a truth that sounds simple and isn't. You don't have thoughts. Thoughts happen. When you attach I am to a passing weather pattern, you fuse identity with a gust. The gap we're creating is not detachment from life. It's freedom inside it. The first named framework for that freedom is the three-angle reframe. It's a way to hold any situation at three plausible angles: negative, neutral, and positive. Then choose the angle that keeps intelligence online for the next minute. Negative is allowed. It tells the body, I'm not gaslighting you. Neutral is a landing pad. It interrupts panic's momentum. Positive is a direction, not a denial. It gives the RAS a new tag to search for. In practice, you'll say 3 sentences and select one to carry forward. That selection is the minute win. Test it now with something live. Feel the weight of your phone in your pocket or the pull of gravity through your feet. The air might be cool on your forearms, a faint current like water in shade. Name the raw thought, I'm going to blow this presentation. Let the negative angle exist. This could go poorly if I improvise. Offer the neutral angle, I don't know yet. I can prepare one clear point. Add the positive angle, this is a chance to practice clarity in pressure. You now select the one that helps your next 60 seconds. Maybe it's neutral, I don't know yet. Make one clear point. Notice the breath deepen on its own. Notice a millimeter more space behind your eyes. That's not magic. That's cortical blood flow returning to the part of you that plans. A story to ground it. Mara, a project lead, was handed a mess. 2 teams out of sync, deadline approaching, competing narratives about what went wrong. The first thought that slammed her chest. This is a trap, they'll blame me. She had practiced the 3-angle reframe in calmer hours. In a glass-walled room that made her feel exposed, she put both feet flat, felt the cool tile under her soles and ran the angles. Negative, if I act defensively, I'll reinforce the story. Neutral, there's misalignment, mapping it is next. Positive, realignment could make us faster for the rest of the quarter. She selected the neutral sentence and wrote 1 page with 2 columns, expectations versus current behavior, then sent an invite titled Map, then Decide. The meeting that followed wasn't pretty, but it was human and directional. Nobody crowned her a hero. Nobody had to. She had built a door. Check your jaw, soften it by 1 notch. Let the tongue rest heavy, the back of your neck lengthen on the exhale. Hear a small sound you didn't notice until now, the rattle of a vent, a distant laugh, the hushed zipper of traffic. Your nervous system learns from these signals faster than it learns from pep talks, so your words will pair with sensations. Words plus breath plus sightline equals new pattern. Here's the second framework, the emotional alchemy ladder. Think of it as 4 rungs you can climb in under a minute to turn raw feeling into usable attention. The rungs are label, locate, leverage, and lean. Label with the phrase that removes fusion, I'm having the thought that, or I'm noticing a wave of. Locate by pointing to the body, heat in my chest, tightness behind the eyes. Leverage with 1 precise tool, usually a 4-4-6 breath, or a 1-line action that fits the feeling, like asking for a number when anxiety fogs you. Lean means choose a direction 1 degree closer to values, not a destination. The ladder doesn't pretend the weather is sunny, it offers you a grip. Climb it now with something sticky. Maybe you have envy like static after seeing a friend's announcement. Label, I'm noticing a wave of comparison. Locate, tightness in the throat, a sliver of heat in my cheeks. Leverage, 1-4-4-6 and a micro action, send a 2-line congrats and then return to my page. Lean 3% toward my work, outline the next section. The body eases not because you commanded it to, but because you gave it a rung, then another. Emotion becomes a current you can swim with instead of against. Why this works with kindness and 0 jargon. When you say, I'm having the thought that, you move activity from the amygdala's alarm to the prefrontal cortex's observing stance. When you point to sensations, interoception calms guessing and reduces global dread. When you take a micro-action linked to the feelings signal, clarity for fear, movement for stuckness, warmth for shame, you satisfy the brain's need to respond. The ladder is not a philosophy, it's a circuit. Take a sensory beat. Drag your thumb slowly across your opposite palm and feel the map of lines you usually ignore. Let your shoulders fall a fraction of an inch. Let the exhale be a degree longer than the inhale. You are showing your body that awareness is here and it is friendly. A home vignette, because emotions are loudest where we love. Jonah's teenage son, Eli, shut down during dinner again. Fork scraping plate, monosyllables, a slammed door. Jonah felt the familiar blend, hurt pricking at his sternum, anger lifting his voice from the inside. He used to lecture, then regret it. That night he climbed the ladder. Label, I'm having the thought that I'm failing as a dad. Locate, heat in cheeks, buzzing in chest. Leverage 446 and a micro-action. Leave space now, write a note. Lean, slide a sticky under Eli's door. I'm here when you want me. Love you, no questions tonight. 2 hours later, the door opened on its own and Eli sat at the foot of Jonah's bed. The conversation was brief and awkward and perfect. Jonah didn't solve adolescence. He stayed in relationship with himself and his son. Words shape perception. Perception shapes options. Options shape minutes. There's an identity shift baked into this work, from I am the voice in my head to I am the one who chooses which voice gets the mic. Say it softly, I am the awareness, not the emotion. And because you are the awareness, you can select a sentence on purpose. Let's install a micro-drill that rewires self-talk at speed. It's called the two-question tuner. When you catch a loud thought, ask, is this sentence useful for the next minute? If no, ask, what sentence would be? Do not fight for the truth, fight for utility. I'll never catch up becomes start the first tile. They hate my idea becomes ask what success would look like for them. You are not deluding, you are tuning the station. The RAS perks up, hears the new frequency, and starts highlighting data that match it. Notice the temperature where your shirt meets your collarbone, the faint grip of fabric. Let your eyes soften as if you're looking at a horizon you trust. The mind follows where the body points. A workplace scene where words drew a map. Ria needed budget approval from a skeptical VP known for asking sharp questions right when presenters were most nervous. Her colleague called him a landmine in a suit. Ria felt the familiar story load into her mind. He'll try to expose me. She ran the three-angle reframe. Negative, he may undercut my points if I ramble. Neutral, he favors crisp numbers. Positive, he's a free testing ground for clarity. She selected neutral and paired it with the tuner. New sentence, answer in numbers, then name a trade-off. During the meeting, when the VP asked, why this feature first, she said, because it reduces refund requests by 12% in the first 2 weeks. The trade-off is slower onboarding by 4 minutes, which will be by Friday. He nodded. No fireworks, no ambush. Clarity recognized itself and stepped aside. There's a practice you can carry onto any battlefield, the mouth shape reset. It's odd and it works because of facial feedback loops. When you shape your lips into a gentle half smile, not performative, just soft, you send a signal upstream that reduces threat perception. Pair it with a sentence that opens the window by an inch. Let's find the next true thing. In a tense conversation, that sentence changes the rhythm from courtroom to workshop. In your own mind, it shifts you from critic to guide. Science tucked inside story. The negativity bias will always offer you the darkest plausible sentence first. That's fine, it's trying to keep you safe. You acknowledge it with the negative angle so your brain doesn't feel dismissed. Then you offer neutral because it stabilizes attention. Then you invite positive direction, not unicorns, just a reason to move. Over time, the sequence gets faster. You'll notice that your first sentence becomes less catastrophic and more practical. That's not because life softened, it's because you trained your narrator. Take in your surroundings for a beat, the edge of light on a tabletop, the quiet fingerprint smudge on your screen, the slight stick of your fingertips from soap or lotion. The world keeps offering anchor points. Every anchor is a way to say, I'm here, which is another way to say, I can choose. What about shame, the heaviest storyteller of all? The ladder meets shame with warmth. Label, I'm noticing a wave of shame. Locate, hollow belly, weight behind the eyes. Leverage, place your hand over your sternum for 10 seconds and let the exhale lengthen. Then write a repair seed, one sentence you'll plant when you can. I'll apologize at 4 and name the impact. Lean 3% toward integrity. Draft the first line now. Shame is allergic to sunlight and action. You're not erasing it, you're inviting it to loosen its grip by giving it a task. Another vignette, this time about creative work. Priya from earlier wanted to keep the kinder rhythm with her parents and also finish a portfolio redesign. Her internal sentences kept splitting her in two. Good daughters don't say no, real designers don't ask for extensions. She wrote the permission ledger from the last chapter and combined it with today's tuna. Old contract, I buy safety by pre-pleasing everyone. New terms, I buy trust by making small honest asks and showing up. Tuned sentence, ask for the smallest boundary and the smallest deliverable. She told her parents, I'll be over at 6, leaving by 8 sharp for a deadline. She told her client, 2 screens by Friday at noon, full flow Monday. Both said yes. The portfolio got better because it got finished. The family felt better because she showed up like someone who wanted to be there, not dragged, not trapped, just present. Feel the chair under your thighs again. Notice the slight pressure change when you shift a centimeter. Breathe in cool, breathe out warm. Whisper, barely audible, I choose my sentence. This is not a spell, it's a steering wheel. Let's run a 1-minute field drill you can deploy when your narrator turns cruel. It's called the switchboard. The moment you catch a harsh sentence, you imagine a panel with 3 lit buttons, negative, neutral, positive. You press them in order, speak each angle in a short phrase, and then flick one switch labeled carry. Only the carried sentence gets airtime for the next minute. If the harsh sentence sneaks back, you don't wrestle, you point at the switchboard and choose again. The repetition is the point. Repetition tells the nervous system, we have a procedure. Procedures reduce alarm. There's a deeper identity turn under all of this. You are not trying to become someone who never thinks dark thoughts. You are becoming someone who does not treat the first draft as the final. That self-respect, minute by minute, builds a strange kind of lightness. You'll notice that humor returns sooner. You'll notice that you can hold contradiction without snapping. This is hard, and I can take one step. That's adult nervous system strength, tenderness plus traction. One last story before we close this chapter. Keisha, a new teacher, faced a class that could smell fear at the door. The first week, her inner narrator said, they're testing you because you're weak. She left exhausted, voice hoarse, eyes stinging. The second week, she taped the 3-angle reframe to the inside of her attendance clipboard. Negative, if I chase noise, I'll lose the room. Neutral, they're seeking boundaries and engagement. Positive, I can channel their energy into challenge. She chose neutral at the bell and began the class with a 1-minute build-together exercise. When side chatter swelled, she climbed the ladder silently. Wave of frustration, heat in face, 446, leaned toward clarity, then said, voices down in 3-2, and waited without begging. The room came with her. Not perfectly, not sitcom neatly, but enough. By Friday, she wasn't an unbreakable disciplinarian. She was a human who knew what sentence to carry and how to climb when the weather turned. Close your eyes if it's safe. Let your next inhale draw cool air across your nostrils. Let your exhale soften your ribs. Feel the outline of your body in space, edges, weight, temperature. Whisper, "I am the awareness, not the emotion." Then ask the tuner, what sentence is useful for the next minute? Carry it. Move an inch in its direction. That's the door you just built and walked through. When the day sends you noise, you will not silence it by force. You will pick your frequency and train your attention to prefer it. The three-angle reframe, the emotional alchemy ladder, the two-question tuner, the switchboard. These aren't mantras to memorize, they're handles. Your hand knows what to do with a handle. Close around one in the next hard moment and feel the mind's machinery pivot toward you, not away. That pivot is the 3% that changes what the next minute can become. There's a hidden thief in your day, the in-between, the minute between meetings when your attention leaks, the 30 seconds after an argument when your body is still ringing, the 5 steps from desk to kitchen where your brain decides whether to scroll, snack, or steer. Most people try to win their lives in the big blocks. Resilient people win the transitions. Today is about mastering the hinge, the tiny turn where momentum is lost or made. You'll stop hemorrhaging energy in the gaps and start using them like flywheels. This isn't about grinding harder. It's about shaping the space between efforts so your system stays on your side. Your first named framework is the Transition Tiny Ritual, the TTR. It's a 20-40-second sequence that wipes cognitive residue and lays a clear track for the next minute. The steps are simple: close, clear, choose. Close means you mark the last thing done with a one-line summary out loud or on paper. Meeting ended. Agreed to send draft by Thursday. Clear means you run one physical cue that your body recognizes as a switch, a 4-4-6 breath while you stand and shake your wrists for 3 seconds. Choose means you plant the next inch. For the next minute, open the spec and write the header. The power is not in the poetry, it's in the pattern. Your brain loves endings and beginnings. It hates fog. TTR puts a clean door on one room and a handle on the next. Feel your body right now. The air at the rims of your nostrils, cool in, warmer out. The slight pressure of the seat under your sit bones, the way the cushion pushes back. Unclench your toes inside your shoes. Tilt your chin down 2 degrees as if nodding to yourself. Whisper, close, and name what you just finished, even if it's this paragraph. Whisper, clear, and do a single slow 4-4-6 while your shoulders drop by exactly 1 notch. Whisper, choose, and point your attention at the next honest inch. The moment clicks, the hinge holds. A story from a hospital where chaos is standard. Pillar, an ER charge nurse, lived inside chronic transition, triage, handoffs, alarms, paperwork, families. She loved the work and dreaded the bleed between tasks, the seconds where adrenaline sloshed and attention fractured. She started using TTR at the doorway of each patient room. Close, labs sent, awaiting radiology. Clear, 1-4-4-6 with a palm pressed to the cool frame. Choose, enter new room with soft tone, ask for 1 worry. The ritual took less than half a minute. Her colleagues began to mirror her steadiness without knowing why. Errors dropped. Families felt seen. Pillar didn't add hours, she added hinges. Her identity shifted from firefighter to conductor. Science in plain English. Cognitive residue, the leftover activation from a previous task, drags working memory and slows reaction time for minutes after a switch. Pairing a brief physical ritual with a verbal marker creates a boundary that your anterior cingulate cortex reads as conflict resolved. The long exhale cues parasympathetic tone so your prefrontal cortex can do its job on the new thing. You aren't hacking your brain, you're informing it. Let your attention return to your skin for a beat, the fabric at your collarbone, the faint hum somewhere in the room, the temperature where your palm rests on your thigh. Your body is the simplest switchboard you have. Your second framework is friction sculpting. Energy leaks not because you're weak, but because your environment taxes every choice. You will lower friction for the moves that matter and raise friction for the moves that don't by 3%. There are only two verbs here, soften and thicken. To soften, you remove a single obstacle that causes micro-stall. Pre-open the file you'll need. Lay out one pen and one page. Write the subject line before the body. To thicken, you add the smallest speed bump to the behaviors that poach your attention. Log out of the most tempting site and put the password in a note 3 clicks deep. Move snacks out of line of sight. Bury the game on the fourth screen of your phone. Friction shapes behavior more kindly than willpower. You're not proving discipline, you're designing momentum. A work vignette to see it in motion. Diego led a data team, but kept losing his first 20 morning minutes to news and dashboards that didn't matter yet. He softened the path to real work by setting his computer to open directly into the primary dock he was building. He thickened the path to noise by installing a 10-second delay extension on 3 sites. Added friction, barely noticeable when he was clear, impossibly annoying when he was wobbly. He paired this with TTR between stand-up and deep work. Close, stand-up done, 2 blockers named. Clear, breath plus wrist shake. Choose, write the first query comment. The minutes stopped dissolving. The day didn't lose its complexity, it lost its leak. Check your jaw, let the tongue go heavy. Let the back of your neck lengthen on a long, quiet exhale. Feel your feet as if the floor is returning your weight with interest. Small signals, big returns. You'll meet the myth that recovery is a reward you earn after perfection. That belief wrecks resilience. Recovery is the oxygen that keeps the fire wise. So you'll install the one breath refuel. Anytime you complete a minute-twin, you allow one slow inhalation and one longer exhalation while you say, mark that. That single breath tags the action with dopamine and makes your brain want to repeat it. Tagging matters more than celebrating. Over time, your system will start to crave the next honest inch because it predicts that warm tag. Let's apply the frameworks to a home transition that often goes sideways, stepping from work into family or personal time. Your body brings leftover momentum through the door. Without a ritual, that momentum spills. With TTR, you make a hinge at the threshold. Close, workday closed at good enough. Clear, shake wrists, 4-4-6, place your hand on the doorframe and feel the cool wood. Choose, enter the room and look at one face with full attention for 3 breaths. That first minute shapes the next hour more than any pep talk. If there's no one there, choose a nourishing inch, water a plant, wash a single plate with both hands, step onto a balcony and name 3 colors. You aren't betraying ambition. You're maintaining the instrument that plays it. Another story. Rohan and Myra kept missing each other at the end of the day, passing like train cars in opposite directions. He came home with emails in his eyes. She wore the day's fatigue like a shawl. They decided to experiment with a 60-second landing. They hung a small bell by the entry. Whoever arrived first rang it once and did TTR before speaking. Close, commute ended. Clear breath, shoulders soft, choose. Greet with touch and one true sentence, then ask sweet or salty. And bring a small snack. It was awkward, then funny, then their favorite minute. Fights didn't disappear, they softened at the edges because the landing was sturdy. Friction sculpting helped too. Phones went into a bowl at the opposite end of the room for the first 10 minutes. thickened path to distraction, softened path to presence. Notice your hands. Are they cool or warm? Spread your fingers and feel the skin stretch between them, then let them fall heavy. Hear something you can't control and let it be. You are not bracing, you are arranging. Why friction sculpting works like physiology, not philosophy. Your brain conserves energy by following the least resistant path to reward. If the least resistant path is a scroll, you'll scroll. Change the terrain by a notch and you'll change the path. The basal ganglia favor repetition. Make the right thing slightly smoother and the wrong thing slightly stickier, and habit loops pick your side. This is compassionate engineering. A micro drill you can run before any task. The Step Zero. Step Zero is the smallest setup action that makes Step 1 inevitable. It must be doable in under 30 seconds. Before writing, open the doc and paste your 3 most likely subheadings. Before a workout, put the shoes on and stand in the doorway. Before a hard conversation, write the first question you'll ask on a sticky. Step Zero turns hope into friction. You create a slope your future self can slide down. Take a sensory beat. The scent in the room, coffee, soap, paper, or nothing at all. The shadow line where light meets wall. The low thrum of an appliance. Let your exhale lengthen by a count of 1 more than the last time. The room becomes an ally. Because you're human, there will be messy transitions. You'll walk out of a meeting with a story burning in your mouth and carry it into the next call. You'll leave a tense text exchange and open the fridge as if it can answer. When you notice that you polluted a hinge, don't lash yourself. Run the micro-closure loop. Name the leak, drop a breath, plant 1 inch. Example carried irritation into email 446. Write, thanks for the quick turn here. The one change we need. You're not erasing emotion. You're preventing it from dictating tone. That 1 minute often saves an hour of repair. A personal vignette. Lena was studying for board exams while caring for her father post-surgery. The days were chopped into unpredictable segments. Every transition hurt. She wrote TTR on an index card and taped it to the refrigerator. Close, Dad rested, pain 310, clear, breath while pressing her thumb to the cool counter. Choose, open flashcards, 2 questions. Friction sculpting. She kept the deck and a pen on the table in plain sight and put the TV remote on a high shelf. Nights were still long, grief still visited. But minutes stopped dissolving. She passed the exam not because she found long blocks, but because she stopped losing short ones. Check the back of your throat. Let the soft palate relax. Feel the ribs expand like a small tide and fall like a quiet curtain. You are instructing your system in a language it trusts. Breath, contact, clarity. If you lead others, your transitions become cultural contagion. Start meetings with a 10-second close of the last one. We left with X. Today we choose Y. End them with a crisp choose. Next minute after we hang up, send the 2-line recap. Make the clear visible. Let's all take 1 long exhale before we go. Watch how rooms de-threaten and work gets cleaner. The best leaders export nervous systems that are coherent at hinges. You might hear an inner protest, I shouldn't need tricks. Answer it with respect. These aren't tricks, they're rhythms. Musicians tune before they play not because they doubt their talent, but because sound loves tension set just right. Your minutes are instruments. TTR and friction sculpting are tuning pegs. A live practice right now. Think of the next door you'll walk through, literal or figurative. Run a rehearsal. Close, name this chapter in 6 words. Clear 1446, shoulders soften, wrists shake. Choose 1 inch you'll do in the first minute after the door. If your mind throws a dozen, smile and pick the smallest that moves the whole. Then soften friction in 10 seconds. Put the needed object in your path. Thicken friction to your most common leak. Move it out of your reach or sight. The rehearsal is already a win. Science briefly for the skeptics who like gears. Ultradian rhythms, 90-ish minute cycles of high focus followed by natural dips, mean your brain wants micro-recovery during transitions. When you ignore dips, you pay with sloppy minutes down the line. When you insert even 30 seconds of clear, you ride the cycle instead of pretending you're a machine. Cortisol isn't the villain, chronic spill is. Hinges mop spill. Another story to land the stakes. Cam, a sales director, lived on planes and in back-to-back pitches. By Thursday, his voice cracked and his patience thinned. He added a TTR he could do in an elevator. Close, pitch done, they asked for a demo. Clear, long exhale through pursed lips, gaze on one spot in the door's reflection. Choose, text team the 3 questions they care about. He sculpted friction by putting a water bottle on the seat beside him and 3 pre-written demo texts in notes. On his next trip, he landed with more voice and fewer apologies. His numbers didn't jump overnight. His recovery did. Then the numbers moved because he did. Feel the cool air skim your forearms when you shift. Notice the outline of your body in space, edges, weight, temperature. You are the awareness, not the emotion. You are also the hinge, not just the door. When setbacks hit, a launch slips, a plan breaks, a person disappoints, you will be tempted to expand your control and crush every transition with vigilance. Don't. Tightness leaks energy faster than chaos. Return to small levers. Close the thing that ended with respect. Clear with breath and a single body cue. Choose the inch that preserves dignity. Soften friction toward repair. Draft the apology, schedule the call. Thicken friction towards spirals. Remove the app, hide the thread, step away from the mirror. You are not giving up power, you're choosing power that compounds. Close this chapter with a 1-minute ritual you can memorize. Doorway reset. Arrive at any threshold. Place fingertips on the frame or imagine one if you're at a metaphorical crossing. Close in 6 words. Clear with 1446 and a wrist shake. Choose the first honest inch. 1 breath of refuel, mark that. Step through. If you forget halfway, smile and do it late. Late rituals still teach. Your minutes are no longer open containers that slosh. They have lids and spouts. The TTR gives you edges. Friction sculpting shapes your terrain, so the wise path is the easiest to walk. The identity shift is quiet and huge. From I get dragged by transitions to I design them. People will feel the difference before you declare it. Rooms will quiet a little when you arrive. Work will start landing where you put it. Home will feel less like another job and more like the place where your nervous system learns what safety sounds like. One last inhale, slow and cool. One last exhale, longer and warm. Hear one small sound, see one new detail, feel one part of your body soften by 3%. Whisper, close, clear, choose. Then go win the next hinge. You can't outthink a drained battery. When energy drops, your clever protocols feel like heavy furniture you can't move. This chapter is where resilience becomes metabolic, not mystical. You will learn to treat attention, emotion, and muscle as one system that charges and drains together. You'll stop arguing with fatigue and start bargaining with it, minute by minute, until the lights come back. We'll build 2 frameworks you can run even when you feel like a dim room: the charge, drain ledger, and the sanctuary circuit. You'll also install 3 microdoses of recovery that work in 60 seconds or less when caffeine and pep talks fail you. This isn't self-care as spa day. This is energy craft for people with real lives. Begin with a simple law. Everything you do either charges or drains, sometimes both. Most days you pretend the drains don't count if the work is important. Biology disagrees. Your prefrontal cortex, the seat of planning and perspective, runs hot and fragile. It depends on oxygen, blood sugar, sleep pressure, and vagal tone. When those are low, the amygdala gets loud and bargains for quick relief. You mistake that alarm for character flaws. It's fuel. No shame, just logistics. Framework 1, the charge drain ledger. It's a 1-minute accounting you do 3 times a day, morning, midday, evening, so your choices fit your chemistry. You'll write 2 short columns labeled charge and drain, but here's the rule that makes it useful. Each column gets only 3 items, and each item must be concrete enough to act on in 1 minute. Exercise is too big. 10 slow air squats is ledger-sized. Relationships is vague. Text over a single line of appreciation is a charge you can feel. For drains, you don't list work. You list context-switching tabs, late sugar, doom scroll news. Then you make a trade. For every drain you can't remove, you pair 1 charge you can add within the next 60 minutes. Your brain loves barter. Barter gets you moving. Check your body now. Cool air tracing your nostrils, warmer air leaving. The quiet pull of gravity through your hips into the chair. Relax the tongue so it sits heavy in your mouth. Rub the pad of your thumb across the first finger and feel the tiny ridges. Whisper in your head, charge, drain. Think of 1 tiny charge available in the next minute. Water, 5 breaths by a window, shoulder rolls. Think of 1 drain you can trim 3%. Turn a brightness down. Close 1 tab. Put the phone face down behind you. This is how energy budgets start balancing, not by belief, by adjustments you can touch. A story from the thick of it. May runs customer success for a growing app. She wakes to Slack pings from 3 time zones and a brain that feels like wet cardboard. Coffee used to feel like salvation. Lately, it's a shaky loan. She tried more discipline and felt smaller. Then she tried the ledger. Morning charge, glass of water before caffeine, tiny sunlight dose on the balcony while sending 1 appreciative text to her night shift teammate. Morning drain she couldn't avoid, back-to-back calls. Link charge to drain. Between 2 calls, 60 seconds of the physiological sigh, tiny inhale through nose, a second quick inhale topping it up, long exhale through pursed lips twice. Midday charge, protein and greens early, 10 slow air squats after she closes her laptop, stand to take a low-stakes meeting. Midday drain she could trim, news in the background. Evening charge, 120 seconds of legs up the wall while a podcast plays, 1 page of a novel before bed. Evening drain she could trim, the reward scroll. She moved the app to the 4th screen and put a paper book on the pillow at 6 p.m. by Friday. Her work didn't shrink, but her panic did. She wasn't better by magic. She was less depleted by design. Why the ledger works at the level of cells and circuits. A long exhale raises vagal tone and shifts heart rate variability toward flexibility. Brief sunlight through the eyes early in the day sets your circadian clock, so cortisol peaks at the right time and fades earlier at night. A small protein hit steadies blood sugar so the prefrontal cortex doesn't crash. You're not optimizing to be a robot. You're creating predictable conditions so your higher brain can show up. Sensory beat. Feel the weight of your phone or the absence of it. The pressure of your feet on the floor, the spread of the toes inside your shoes. Let your exhale be a count longer. Notice the air on the skin of your forearms, cooler where sweat evaporates, warmer where fabric rests. Your body is reading these signals whether you pay attention or not. Paying attention lets you steer them. Framework 2, the sanctuary circuit. You've heard of a sanctuary room inside the mind. Now you'll assemble it in the body with 4 switches: breath, gaze, posture, contact. Flip any 2 for 60 seconds and you will change your state. Breath, 4-4-6 or 2 physiological size. Gaze, widen your peripheral vision by softening your eyes and noticing the edges of the room. Wide gaze tells your nervous system there's no immediate threat. Posture, lift your sternum 1 centimeter and let your shoulder blades sink down and back. This subtly increases tidal volume and communicates readiness without bracing. Contact, place 1 palm on your lower ribs or the back of your neck. Skin-to-skin touch recruits interoception and warms the map of me. When you run a sanctuary circuit at the start of a minute-twin, your prefrontal cortex gets oxygen and the amygdala gets a lullaby it trusts. Run it now, pick any 2 switches. Maybe you widen your gaze and take a 4-4-6. Maybe you set your palm on your ribs and lift your sternum a hair. Feel the clarity start to bead on the inside of your skull like condensation at the edge of a cold glass. This is not performance. It's electricity routed where it can do the most good. Another story to prove the switches travel. Tamaz, a high school counselor, sat with a student who just received a devastating message. Tamaz's own heart raced. He wanted to fix more than listen. He ran the sanctuary circuit silently, soft eyes, hand on ribs, long exhale, and felt his own heat drop. The room matched his pace. The student cried without panic and asked for 2 specific calls Tamaz could make. Later, Tamaz realized the minute he spent switching his state did more than any advice would have. He had become a portable sanctuary, not a lecture. The microdoses promised 3 one-minute refuels you can carry anywhere. First, the physiological sigh as described, 2 inhales, 1 long, slow exhale, repeated 2 or 3 times. This empties spent air from alveoli, increases CO2 offloading, and calms you fast. Second, the light tanker. Look toward natural light, even indirect, for 60 seconds while you let your eyes soften. This nudges circadian timing and reduces mental fog. Third, the micro-move. 10 slow air squats or a wall push-up set while you count breaths. Large muscle contraction pulls glucose out of the bloodstream and feeds the brain indirectly, helping focus without another espresso. These are not heroic, they're honest. You run them before you think you deserve to feel better. Feel the temperature at the back of your neck. Slide 2 fingers there and notice the skin coolness, then remove them and feel the warmth return. Hear 1 small sound, then let it fade. Energy shifts in tiny tides like this. You don't command tides, you cooperate with them. An identity snag often appears here. If I need this, I must be weak. No, you're human hardware with a nervous system tuned by eons to survive, not to thrive under fluorescent lights and infinite scroll. Resilience isn't ignoring biology, it's teaming with it. Adopt this line and repeat it when guilt knocks. I earn performance by paying my nervous system first. You're not stealing time, you're investing it. A home vignette where the ledger and circuit saved a night. Alejandra has a 3-year-old and a newborn. Sleep is a rumor. At 7:12 p.m., the toddler throws pasta. The newborn wails. Alejandra feels the heat climb her scalp and the tunnels start. Old pattern, snap, then drown in shame. New pattern, sanctuary circuit on the spot, 1 physiological sigh, widen gaze to include the wall clock and the window, hand to heart. Charge, drain ledger in 10 seconds. Drain, noise, hunger, mess. Charge, tall glass of water now. Stand while bouncing baby to move big muscles. Ask partner for a 2-minute reset on the balcony. She names it aloud. I'm taking 2 minutes to come back kind. The balcony air is cool on her cheeks. She returns and names a 2-step plan in a soft voice. The house is still a circus, but the ringleader is sober. This is resilience with milk stains and love. Let your jaw loosen. Let your eyes find a place where light meets shadow. Let your hands get heavier in your lap. You're building signal fluency. Soon your body will propose a long exhale before you know you want one. That's neuroplasticity putting itself to work for you. Because you're ambitious, let's talk about effort without crash. There's a difference between strain and stretch. Strain is tension plus fear, stretch is tension plus breath. Use the stretch ratio. For every 10 minutes of intense effort, insert 60 seconds of sanctuary circuit or a microdose refuel. This sounds like lost time. It is the opposite. The anterior cingulate cortex tracks conflict. When you pre-schedule relief, you reduce background conflict and get cleaner focus. That's why elite performers appear calm under load. They've built relief into the structure, not as an afterthought. A workplace story about the stretch ratio. Nor a trial attorney prepared for closing arguments with a team in a windowless room. Tensions spiked, snacks multiplied, tempers frayed. Nor set a timer every 12 minutes, stop for 60 seconds, two physiological sighs, gaze softened to the corners of the ceiling, shoulder blades down, one sip of water. She got eye rolls the first hour. By hour 3, no one wanted to skip it. Their work tightened, their voices gentled, they finished before midnight. In court the next day, Nor's cadence was steady without being slow. She had learned that composure is choreography. You'll inevitably hit the wall anyway. When you do, don't bargain in paragraphs. Run the crash triage, 3 sentences and 3 moves in 1 minute. Sentence 1, wall hit acknowledged. Move, sit tall, 1 physiological sigh. Sentence 2, I choose 1 repair. Move 10 air squats or a brisk minute walk to the window and back. Sentence 3, resume at 1 inch. Move, return to the focus fence for 60 seconds with the smallest useful action. If your wall is emotional, add warmth. Palm to sternum for 10 seconds. Walls don't require poetry, they require procedure. Sensory check. The rim of the mug on the table edge. The small click when you place it down. The warmth or coolness at your forearms depending on the room. The world shines with anchors when you widen and let them land. Let's fold sleep into this without guilt. You don't control the whole night, you influence the first 15 minutes. Install the pillow gate. It's a 3-step, 2-minute ritual that teaches your brain to let go even on messy days. Step 1, 1-line carry from earlier. Tomorrow's first 3% notch is written or whispered. Step 2, 3 slow exhale heavy breaths while 1 palm rests on your belly. Step 3, eye dark, dim or cover light sources and let your gaze settle on nothing for 10 seconds. The pillow gate lowers mental arousal and gives your glymphatic system, the brain's cleaning crew, permission to get to work. Even if you wake 3 times, the gate shortens your return. A final story to braid heart and science. Dante, a paramedic, collected impossible nights like stamps. After 1 call, he couldn't shake the image of a stranger's hands. His chest hurt with an ache epic enough to make him question his future. Therapy helped, but between sessions he needed minutes that didn't drown him. He built a sanctuary circuit he could run in the rig. Soft eyes to widen the cab, 1 hand behind his neck, 2 physiological sighs. He paired it with a ledger charge between calls. Text his partner the line, still here with you, sip water, 10 slow calf raises beside the truck. He added the pillow gate and a rule. After the worst nights, he'd stand in weak sunrise for 90 seconds before sleep. The ache didn't vanish. It found its place in a body that knew where the switches were. Feel your spine lengthen a centimeter, crown of the head rising like it's tugged by a quiet string. Let your shoulders drop. Let the exhale feather the back of your throat. Whisper, I am the awareness, not the emotion, and add, I pay my nervous system first. Notice if a little dignity arrives, the kind that doesn't need an audience. A live drill to end this chapter, 1-minute reboot. Stand if you can. Choose your sanctuary circuit switches, breath and gaze, or posture and contact. Run them for 20 seconds. Ledger in 20 more. Name one drain you'll trim 3% and one charge you'll add in the next hour. Finish with a micro move, 10 air squats or 5 wall push-ups, and a small drink of water. Total time, 60 seconds. Cost, trivial. Return on attention, outsized. You just proved that energy isn't a mood. It's a set of controllable dials. You don't need to become a wellness monk. You need to route electricity where it feeds clarity, kindness, and steady effort. The charge, drain ledger, and the sanctuary circuit make recovery bite-sized and portable. The physiological sigh, lie tanker, and micro-move give you levers that work even when your story is loud and your willpower is out to lunch. The identity shift is both gentle and fierce. You are not a brain dragging a body. You are a whole organism conducting its minutes. People will feel your steadiness and mistake it for temperament. You will know it is choreography, practiced one oxygen-rich, gaze-soft minute at a time. Before you step forward, take one more breath in cool and slow. Let it out longer and warm. Feel the ground hold you up without negotiations. You are allowed to be tired. You are also allowed to be skillful. Win the next minute by paying your system first. The day can get in line. Fear rarely announces itself as fear. It wears smarter clothes. Perfectionism, research, waiting for the right time. It says, I'll start when I'm ready, and defines ready as a horizon that keeps walking away. You already know how to breathe through panic and design your hinges. Now it's time to move toward what matters when your stomach flips. This is not a pep rally. It's the craft of courage, shaved down to 1 minute at a time, so you don't need to be fearless to act. You'll learn to fund small risks with a courage budget and to step through hesitation with the Micro-Bravery loop. You'll also learn a way to see the moment through 2 windows, one that shrinks doom and one that magnifies meaning, so your actions fit your life instead of your fear. Begin by naming what courage is at the nervous system level. Voluntary approach toward a meaningful goal while feeling activation. Not without activation while feeling it. Your amygdala rings, your prefrontal cortex can still steer, your body hums like a wire in wind. Courage isn't the absence of that hum, it's learning the chord it plays and choosing your note. The courage budget is your first framework. It's a daily 3-minute ritual that allocates tiny courage dollars to acts you'd otherwise defer. You'll set a total amount each morning, say $30, and pre-commit small spends. $5 to ask for a clearer scope, $3 to share a draft, $10 to initiate a boundary, $2 to say your name in a room where you'd hide. Each dollar equals a 60-second move. When your body protests, you don't debate philosophy, you check the budget and spend as agreed. Feel your breath as cool at the rim of your nostrils and warmer at the exhale. Let your jaw unhook by a hair. Notice the weight of your phone or the lightness of your empty hand. Whisper, budget, and imagine a small card with numbers that refresh each morning. The act of pre-allocating shrinks the negotiation at the edge of risk. Your brain loves closed loops. A budget is a loop waiting to be completed. A story from a team that lived on bold ideas and quiet avoidance. Hyojin, a product researcher, had insights that could save 3 months of wasted effort. She kept rewriting her email until it turned into silence. That morning, she set a courage budget of $30. $10 went to a face-to-face ask for 10 minutes with the VP. $5 to stating the core risk in 1 sentence without hedging. 5 to proposing an experiment. 5 to following up with a calendar invite. 5 to breathing before she hit send. At 1:05 p.m. with heat in her face, she walked to the VP's desk. "I've got a risk that will cost us 3 months and a 1-week test to find out if I'm right." The VP looked up, interested, then scheduled the test. The world did not crack open. The budget did. Hyojin didn't wait to feel braver. She spent like someone who had already chosen. Why this works beneath the slogans: risk amplifies ambiguity, ambiguity spikes cortisol, cortisol biases you toward short-term safety. A pre-commitment cuts ambiguity by deciding the shape of the next minute before you're flooded. Each small spend becomes a prediction your brain wants to fulfill. Dopamine is not just reward, it's anticipation. You cue it with a number and a 1-minute action. The number sculpts the dread into containable edges. The minute sculpts the cliff into a step. Your second framework is the Micro-Bravery loop. It has 4 verbs you can run in under a minute: notice, name, narrow, nudge. Notice the first physical cue of hesitation, the micro-flinch in your shoulders, the breath that goes shallow, the fingers that hover over send. Name the fear kindly and precisely. "I'm afraid of looking incompetent," or "I'm afraid of being dismissed." Narrow the field to a 1-inch version of the courageous act. Nudge your body through it with 1 breath and 1 physical micro-movement. Press the thumb and forefinger, step forward, hit the key. The loop is not heroic, it's mechanical. You reduce the size, keep the meaning, and move. Test it now with something real. Think of a message you're avoiding. Feel the temperature of your palms, maybe cool with a sheen, maybe warm and empty. Notice the catch at the base of your throat. Name it: afraid of being too much. Narrow, send the 2-line version that asks for 1 decision. Nudge 1446, then press the keys. The room does not change, but something inside you unknots a notch. You did not become a fearless person. You became someone who moved while afraid for 60 seconds. Here's a sensory beat to anchor the feeling. Hear the distant sound nearest silence, the hum inside the walls, the faintest traffic. Let your eyes widen to take in the corners of the room. Let your exhale lengthen by 1 count longer than the inhale. Courage is compatible with softness. Tension without breath is fear's favorite costume. An anecdote about love where courage feels riskiest. Tasha had been dating Ravi for 4 months. She wanted to define the relationship but feared tilting the boat. Her old pattern: read the tea leaves for weeks, rehearse speeches in the shower, withdraw to protect herself from the possibility of hurt. This time she set a courage budget of $10 for asking to talk, 5 for naming what she wanted in plain words, 5 for listening without bargaining. At a cafe with clinking cups, she felt heat creep across her chest. Micro-Bravery loop. Notice the urge to fill space, name the fear: rejection, narrow, say the 1 sentence I'm skirting, nudge hand on ribs, 1 long exhale. I like you and want to date exclusively. If that's not where you are, I'd rather know. Ravi blinked, then smiled, then said yes, with caveats that turned into a real conversation. The happy ending isn't the yes. It's that Tasha's identity shifted to someone who asks out loud for the life she wants, 1 minute at a time. Fear thrives in a single window, the catastrophe close-up. So you'll install the 2-window view. The first window is close, the concrete next 60 seconds. The second is far, a compassionate view from 6 months ahead. When fear spikes, you look through close to pick the smallest true action, then glance through far to remember why the action matters. Close keeps you moving, far keeps you from making an idol of comfort. Practical example: close, send the 2 questions that unblock design. Far 6 months from now, I respect that I asked clear questions even when I felt wobbly. Your brain likes meaning. Meaning reduces perceived pain. The two-window view makes meaning small enough to hold today. Notice the skin at your collarbone under fabric, the way the cloth draws a faint line of awareness there. Let your shoulders drop a notch. Let your tongue rest heavy. Your body reads these signals as we can approach. Approach is courage's verb. A work vignette where the two-window view changed an entire quarter. Jamal led a team that kept missing deadlines because everyone was afraid to surface unknowns. He started each stand-up with a 1-minute ritual. Close, what's the next tiny move? Far, why does the move matter in 6 months? He went first. Close, ask for the exact metric we're judged on. Far, in 6 months, we want a launch that didn't burn us out. The team adopted the language. Unknowns surfaced sooner. They cut features without shame because far mattered. Courage did not look like roaring speeches. It looked like quiet, repeated asks under the pressure of silence. Let's address the stickiest fear, shame after visible failure. Your nervous system remembers the heat in your cheeks and flinches 5 steps earlier next time. You need a way to metabolize social pain fast, not because you don't care, but because you care and want to keep moving. Enter the after-action kindness, a 1-minute decompression that keeps your learning channels open. 3 lines, spoken softly or written, what I did, what it cost, what I will try next minute. Then 1 breath with a hand on your sternum and a half smile to flip facial feedback. This is not self-forgiveness theater. It's a nervous system intervention. Shame narrows options, kindness widens them. Feel the edge of your seat under your thighs, the give and the return. Hear one sound you didn't produce. Let your exhale feather the back of your throat. Courage is trained in these quiet reps, so it can show up loud when needed. Because your brain loves tools with sharp edges, here's the risk razor. When deciding whether to take a small risk, shave the scenario until you find the lightest version that preserves the essence. If asking for a raise feels like a cliff, the razor finds the ridge. Ask for the comp philosophy and the band for my role. If shipping a feature feels like exposure, the razor trims it to ship to 5 internal users with a feedback form. Fear can't argue with shaved edges as fiercely. The alarm quiets enough for choice to thread the needle. A story from public speaking, people's favorite courtroom. Andre had to present to a client after a rough pilot. His last talk 2 years ago had gone sideways. He felt that memory in his chest like a bruise. He ran the Micro-Bravery loop backstage. Notice, shallow breathing. Name, afraid of blanking. Narrow, open with 1 true sentence and 1 number. Nudge 2 physiological size and a step toward the light. He ran the 2-window view. Close, deliver the first sentence. Far 6 months from now, I'm the person who says the true thing first. He sharpened the risk razor to a lighter edge. Instead of promising the moon, he asked for 3 days to run a targeted test, then showed the 1 number that justified it. The room deflated in relief. Andre's heart kept thudding, his voice steadied. Courage didn't change his pulse, it changed his posture toward it. There's a micro-drill you'll love because it steals terror's favorite tactic, time expansion. It's called the 10-count bridge. Before the courageous act, you count down from 10 to 0 out loud or in your head, breathing 4-4-6 on the final 3 counts. The countdown gives your amygdala a script it can't argue with. Numbers always run out, and 0 is the action. At 0, you move even if the move is tiny. The brain bonds to the ritual. The body respects the clock. Notice the temperature at your ears. The way blood flow makes them warm when activation rises. Let your gaze widen. including floor and ceiling in the same soft picture. Let your shoulders drop. The body that feels safe enough to approach is the body that makes courage replicable. Let's talk about social courage, the small refusals that preserve self-respect. The permission ledger from earlier pairs with a new move, the no with a node. A node is a place where something connects later. When you decline, you also name a node where connection still lives. No to this Friday, yes to a 20-minute brainstorm next Wednesday. Your nervous system expects exile. The node shows it a bridge. That bridge keeps you from spending courage dollars on repairing avoidant ghosting later. An intimacy vignette where the no with a node kept love intact. Erin's partner, Micah, wanted to process a fight at midnight. Erin's eyes burned. Old pattern, stay up, stew, snap. New pattern, courage budget, $10 to ask for a time. Micro-Bravery loop, notice the urge to appease, name the fear, you'll feel abandoned. Narrow, ask for morning with a specific time. Nudge, half smile, hand to heart. I want to do this well, I'm wiped. Can we talk after coffee at 8? I'll bring the 2 things I regret and the 1 thing I need. Micah frowned, then nodded. Morning brought warmth and repair. Courage didn't avoid the talk. It asked for conditions that preserved humanity. Sometimes you need courage with yourself, not others. Starting a thing you might be bad at is a social risk, even in solitude, because your inner audience can be cruel. That's where the gentle first try comes in. You pre-announce to yourself that the first 60 seconds doesn't count except as exposure. First try is for contact, you whisper, and you spend 2 courage dollars on opening the file, touching the instrument, saying the first clumsy sentence to a camera, walking into the gym and doing 1 set. The gentle first try lowers the performance bar to the floor so you can step over it. Once contact is made, your system recalibrates the threat from dragon to dog on a leash. Take a sensory beat, the coolness of air moving across your knuckles when you lift your hand, the pressure change at your sit bones when you shift a centimeter, the texture of the surface under your palm, smooth, grainy, warm. These details are not decoration. They're levers that say, this body can move toward. Here's a friction trick for courage. Reverse sculpt the easy escape. If you always bolt for research when you feel small, set a timer for 60 seconds and put research behind a password you don't autofill. Place the action you want front and center with a step 0 ready. Courage is a path problem as much as a feeling problem. Make the right path smoother by an inch. A story from creative work where courage looked like sending imperfect things on purpose. Val wrote songs no one heard because finishing felt like exposure. She created a courage budget jar with 20 paper slips labeled with tiny risks. Send a 30-second voice memo to Sam. Post 1 chorus to your private group. Play 2 lines for your sister on speaker. Every morning she drew 1 and spent the dollar in the first hour. Her body buzzed before each move. The buzz faded faster each time. 3 months later, she played in a small room and forgot to be afraid until the second song. Fear was not gone. It was no longer the host. It had become a guest she seated politely at the back. Science for the skeptics that love gears. Approach behavior builds, safety memory, associations between activation and positive outcome. Each time you take a micro-risk and survive, the hippocampus stores context cues that lower future alarm in similar settings. Your prefrontal cortex learns a policy. When body hums and value is present, we move. This is why courage becomes easier in specific domains you train. Transfer that ease by naming the policy explicitly and importing it to new domains. I move toward when the hum is here and value is present. Then identify the smallest transfer action. A recovery piece when courage goes sideways. You will overreach sometimes and the sting will feel like a sunburn. Run the 90-second where the rule you learned earlier, then the after-action kindness, then the two-window view, close window, send the repair sentence. Far window, 6 months from now, the story is I kept showing up. Courage without repair is bravado. Courage with repair is leadership. Feel the breath brush the back of your throat. Let the exhale be a count longer. Sense the back of your heart, an area we rarely name, soften against gravity. You are not trying to dominate fear. You are learning to walk with it without handing it the map. A live drill to fold everything together in 1 minute. The first step, pact. Speak a pact aloud. When I feel the hum and value is present, I will spend 2 courage dollars within 60 seconds. Then run the loop, notice, name, narrow, nudge. Glance through the two-window view. If you hesitate, count down from 10. At 0, act. If your chest tightens after, spend $1 more on kindness. Hand to sternum, a breath, a next step sentence. The pact turns philosophy into muscle memory. Identity is shifting under all this. You're not becoming fearless. You're becoming reliable to yourself in the presence of fear. Others will see it in micro moments. The way you say the true sentence early, the way your questions land like invitations rather than tests, the way you ask for what matters without turning brittle. You will notice it in the way humor returns faster, how your jaw spends more time unhooked, how your eyes find the far window without being told. Close your eyes for a breath if it's safe. Cool in, warm out. Hear one small sound, feel the chair meet you. Whisper, I am the awareness, not the emotion. Then add, I move toward by inches. Picture the little budget card, the loop's 4 verbs, the 2 windows. Picture your hand moving anyway. Then pick one tiny risk in front of you and spend $2 before your mind negotiates them away. At 0, go. You do not need dramatic acts to build a courageous life. You need hundreds of small spends linked to meaning and run through a body that knows how to steady itself. The courage budget, the micro-bravery loop, the two-window view, the 10-count bridge, the risk raiser, the know with a node, the gentle first try. These are not slogans on a wall. They're switches and rails. Keep flipping and following them for a minute at a time, and you will look up one day inside a life that used to scare you and now fits like a jacket you grew into. Decision fatigue masquerades as busyness. You chase 10 small flames and miss the one quiet fire that could warm the house. Your brain loves action because action feels like relief, but not all action compounds. Today is about choosing what matters without drama, making decisions that are light to carry and hard to knock over. You'll learn to sort noise from signal in 60 seconds with the signal switch, then turn signal into movement with the 5-line play. You'll also build a small tool you can keep in your pocket or notes app, the North Star Note, that keeps you from drifting when the day gets loud. None of this requires perfect clarity. It requires honest clarity for 1 minute at a time. Start with the problem. When stress spikes, your prefrontal cortex narrows to the nearest, loudest thing. The reticular activating system tags urgency as importance, then serves you the closest lever, not the wisest one. You don't need a bigger brain, you need a better sort. The signal switch is a 3-question filter you can run in under 60 seconds. What's true? What matters? What moves? What's true? Strip story from fact in 1 sentence. What matters names the value you're protecting, clarity, care, progress. What moves picks the smallest action that proves you chose the value. The switch doesn't moralize, it routes electricity. Test it now with something real. Feel the cool at your nostrils as you inhale, the warmth across your lip as you exhale. Check your jaw, unhook it a notch. You're avoiding a task. Ask, what's true? Maybe the deck is blank and I have 40 minutes. What matters? Clarity over polish. What moves? Write 5 headlines that could frame the story. The moment you write the first wobbly headline, the body loosens by 3%. That is nervous system intelligence coming back online because you chose a lever small enough to grip. A story where the switch salvaged a morning. Zara managed partnerships across regions. She woke to 3 threads accusing her team of dropping a ball that wasn't theirs. Flames everywhere. She wanted to defend and scatter. She stood, felt the floor press back against her heels, and ran the switch out loud. What's true? 2 partners are confused about scope. 1 email is heat, not information. What matters? Steady progress and reputation for clarity. What moves? Draft 1 neutral summary and ask for the number they care about. She wrote, to align, we own A and B, you own C. Can you confirm the single metric you're optimizing this week? Within 10 minutes, a VP replied with the number. The threads cooled. Zara didn't win the quarter. She won the hinge. Decisions feel heavier in your body than in your mind. Let your breath make contact with ribs. Inhale, ribs rise. Exhale, ribs fall a hair longer. Feel the weight of your tongue. Listen for the faintest sound. Your biology reads those cues as safe enough to choose. Safety is not the absence of risk. It's the presence of options. Turning signal into movement requires shape. Enter the 5-line play. When you catch yourself spinning, you will write 5 short lines that fit on a sticky or in a note. Line 1, outcome 1 sentence, concrete. Line 2, constraint 1 sentence that names your real wall time, energy, skill. Line 3, lever, the smallest move that materially shifts you toward the outcome inside the constraint. Line 4, stakeholder, 1 person to inform or ask. Line 5, first minute, exact words for the first 60 seconds. This isn't a plan for a project, it's a plan for momentum. Your nervous system relaxes when it hears a play it can run now. Let's build 1. Outcome, deliver a draft outline by end of day. Constraint, energy low 35 minutes before next call. Lever, choose a 3-part structure and slot bullets. Stakeholder, ping Maya to confirm sections. First minute, open doc, type 3 headers, problem, approach, proof, fill 3 bullets under problem. When you write those 5 lines, you've already begun. The play points your attention like a beam, not a floodlight. Home vignette, because decisions at home are no lighter. Eli and June kept circling the same kitchen debate, whether to replace a failing appliance now or wait. Each conversation devolved into spreadsheets versus feelings, then silence. One night, June ran the signal switch. What's true? Dishwasher leaks twice a week. What matters? Money and peace. What moves? Call landlord about cost sharing. They wrote a 5-line play. Outcome, decide by Thursday. Constraint, budget tight. Lever, get 2 quotes. Stakeholder, landlord. First minute, text landlord for policy. Email 2 repair shops for estimate. Decision fatigue melted because decision-making became a sequence, not a wrestling match. Notice your fingertips against each other, ridges, warmth. Let the exhale lengthen by a single count. Cloth on your collarbone, cool air on your forearms. These tiny sensations are friends that steady you while you choose. Your second framework is the North Star note. Big goals warp attention because they feel far and righteous, which makes you want to make dramatic moves that exhaust you. The note is a 20-word sentence you keep visible that names who you are here and what this season is for. It is not a slogan, it is a navigational tool that trims your options to the wise ones. Structure. In this season, I am a person who identity. and I am giving my best minutes to focus by method. Example, in this season, I am a person who builds steady teams, and I am giving my best minutes to robust specs by one clean decision daily. You'll read the note before you run the signal switch. It biases your what matters toward a life you chose on purpose. Write yours now. Feel the chair under your thighs. Soften your gaze to include the edges of the room. Whisper, in this season, then finish the sentence honestly. If you don't know your season, pick a placeholder for a week. The note is not a tattoo. It's a lighthouse you can move along the coast as weather changes. Why this works in the brain: every decision costs glucose. When what matters is anchored, you spend less fuel on meta choices and more on the inch that moves the whole. Your anterior cingulate monitors conflict. When your actions align with the North Star note, conflict dips, noise fades, and you experience a quiet that feels like truth. That quiet is not mystical, it is coherence. A story about a student drowning in options. Layla from earlier had 3 grad schools courting her and a creeping sense of paralysis. Everyone offered opinions, none matched her gut. She wrote a North Star note: in this season I become a clinician writer. I give my best minutes to learning and language by choosing mentors over brand. Then she ran the signal switch on each program. What's true became lists of faculty, clinical exposure, writing labs. What matters? Mentorship and practice. What moves? Email 2 professors to ask for a 10-minute call. Draft a pros-cons list using her values as columns. The 5-line play for the week told her exactly what to do Monday at noon. She chose the program with the least prestige and the best mentor. Her nervous system exhaled because the choice rhymed with who she said she was. Check your shoulders, drop them a notch. Lift the sternum a centimeter so the breath finds more room. Feel the back of your neck lengthen. Small posture shifts send big messages upstream, not bracing, not slumping, available. Decision fatigue grows in clutter, so you'll pair these frameworks with a 1-minute environment move, the decision dock. It is one small, fixed place where your next decision lives until you run the switch. A single card on a stand, a sticky on the edge of your monitor, a note at the top of your dock. When a tug appears, you don't chase it. You park it at the dock with 4 words max. Twice a day, you clear the dock using the switch and the 5-line play. This prevents your day from becoming a scavenger hunt of unresolved tugs. An office vignette. Aaron, a marketing lead, had a whiteboard that became a collage of maybe later. He erased it and drew a 2-inch square called doc. Every new quick idea went there as a 4-word chip: teaser copy test, landing page tweak, interview ops. At 11:30 and 4:30 he faced the doc, read his North Star note, ran the signal switch, wrote a 5-line play for one item, and archived or delegated the rest with a boundary bridge from earlier. Momentum stopped leaking from the edges. His team began to trust that ideas would be heard and sorted, not glorified or ignored. Let your eyes soften to the edges of your screen or room. Pick one object and notice a detail you never bother to see: the scratch on a mug, the shadow under a book. Precision in sight breeds precision in thought. Some decisions can't be made cleanly yet. Your brain hates not yet, so it tells stories. Use the 2-box hold. Box A is decide now, box B is decide when. If a decision lands in box B, you must tag the when with a condition, information, or time, and a date to revisit. When we get customer interviews on the 12th, this allows your nervous system to stop fake deciding while still feeling responsible. Pair the hold with a 1-sentence, meanwhile move, that keeps you in motion without pretending to know. Meanwhile, draft the 2 questions interviews must answer. A relationship story where the 2-box hold prevented a loop. Sienna and Omar were considering moving cities. They kept wounding each other with half decisions. They wrote a North Star note. In this season, we choose energy and closeness by honest talk and small tests. Then they used the 2-box hold. Move decision, box B, when Sienna's offer is formal and we spend 1 trial week there on May 15. Meanwhile, move, price short-term rentals, list pros cons using our values. Their minds wanted drama, their bodies wanted a container. The container won. Here is a micro drill you can use when the day hits you with 5 asks at once. The 1-minute triage. Put every ask at the dock with 4 words. Read your North Star note once. Run the signal switch on the whole pile. What's true? 5 asks, 2 real, 3 can wait. What matters? Protect deep work, keep relationships warm. What moves? Send 2 bridges, start 1 5-line play. Then actually send the bridges, then write the play. The triage takes a minute. The relief is chemical. You just turned noise into order. Take a sensory beat. The temperature of the room on the skin of your forearms, the weight of your feet, the quiet thud of your heart if you listen near your sternum. The body confirms order is available. A note on perfection, the saboteur of choosing. Perfection says, pick the best or stall. The North Star note answers, pick the truest within your constraints. Trueness is kinder and more repeatable than best. It reduces decision regret because you can check the choice against a sentence you respect, not a fantasy you can't measure. When regret does visit, as it will run the after-action kindness from last chapter, then the 2-window view, close, what's the smallest repair? Far 6 months from now, the story is we kept choosing and fixing. Story from design where trueness beat best. Nico's team argued for 3 days about a homepage hero. Best was a mirage. They wrote a North Star note for the sprint. We drive first session activation by clarity over clever. Signal switch. What's true? 3 options, limited dev time. What matters? Activation. What moves? Ship the clear option to 50% traffic. 5-line play. Outcome A B by Friday. Constraint half day of dev. Lever reuse components. Stakeholder QA. First minute write brief. They shipped. Activation ticked up. The room stopped worshipping taste and returned to outcome. Check in with your breath again. Inhale for 4, hold for 4, exhale for 6. Let your shoulder blades slide down and back. Imagine your decisions as water finding a channel you cut on purpose. That's all strategy is. Decision-making is relational too. Other people get a vote in your nervous system. Use the align in advance move to reduce friction. Before a block of work or a choice that will impact others, send a 2-line alignment note that names your North Star note and your 5-line play. I'm giving today's best minutes to spec quality. Outcome is a 3-section outline by 3. Constraint is 2 meetings. Lever is template reuse. First minute is headers. If you need me, I'll do a triage at noon. You are not posturing. You are offering a shared map. It is easier for people to respect edges when they can see them. Leadership vignette. Tori, a director, was known for being available. Translation, perpetually interrupted and resentful. She began sending morning align in advance notes to her team. At first, people tested the fence. She replied with soft boundary bridges and predictable triage windows. Within 2 weeks, interruptions dropped by half and decisions got better because the team ran the signal switch before asking. Tori's identity shifted from human router to leader with a compass. Her calendar still had meetings. It also had a spine. When you can't decide between 2 good things, use the value split. Name the values each option serves, Then find a third option that gives a 3% nod to the value you'd otherwise starve. Take a bigger client means growth. Keep the smaller book means craftsmanship. Split. Take one growth client this quarter. Protect 4 hours weekly for craft with the current book. Your nervous system hates zero-sum frames. It relaxes when you protect what matters with tiny, visible gestures. Notice the back of your head where it meets the air, a place you rarely sense. Let your gaze widen. Let the exhale be a beat longer. You are creating space to choose, not a cathedral, just a clearing. There will be days when you choose and then waver. The wobble repair is a 60-second loop. Reread your North Star note. Rerun the signal switch. Rewrite the 5-line play for the next inch. If the choice is still wrong, you'll discover it faster by moving. If it's right, the wobble quiets because action stole oxygen from doubt. An ending story to seal the frameworks. Maya, our conference room friend from way back, was promoted to VP. She feared becoming someone who traded presence for pressure. On her first Monday, she wrote a North Star note. In this season, I build calm velocity by clear decisions and daily teaching. Each morning, she posted a tiny office hours lesson for her team, the signal switch on tricky topics, the 5-line play on gnarly projects. She installed a decision dock at the top of her to-do list and cleared it at 11:30 and 4:30. She used the 2-box hold for strategy questions, the value split to avoid starving culture for speed, the align and advance notes to make her fences visible. People said she seemed unhurried. She wasn't slow, she was sorted. Minutes stacked into weeks that looked like intention, not accident. You are the awareness, not the emotion. You are also the chooser, not the noise. Decisions don't need to be heavy to be real. They need to be honest for a minute, then enacted for a minute, then checked a week later against a sentence you respect. Write the North Star note. Practice the signal switch. Run the 5-line play. Build a decision dock and clear it twice. Use the 2-box hold when the future is foggy, the value split when both sides matter, the wobble repair when doubt visits. You are not trying to be right all the time. You are trying to be aligned most of the time and repair quickly the rest. Close your eyes if it's safe. Inhale cool, exhale warm. Feel the edges of your body in space, the weight, the temperature, the pressure. Whisper what's true, what matters, what moves. Write one 5-line play in your head and then move your hand in its direction. The day will still be large, but your next choice is small and sovereign, and that is enough to win the next minute. Some days break, not dramatically, not with violins, but with a quiet snap you only hear after the echo, an email that lands wrong, a mistake that cost money, a comment that sticks under your skin. The world doesn't stop for your repair, it piles new requests on top of the crack. You try to outrun the ache and the mind scolds you for feeling it. That's when resilience becomes an art of after, what you do in the wake, in the hour after the blow, in the minute after the flush of heat. Today you'll learn to metabolize setbacks so they don't fester. You'll use 2 frameworks that turn pain into clean movement, the 3R cycle and the FACT debrief. You'll also practice a tiny repair sentence that keeps relationships, at work and at home, from calcifying. This isn't about pretending the break didn't happen. It's about building hands that can set a bone. Begin by accepting a physiology you didn't choose. Your brain predicts the future by comparing what happened to what it expected. When the gap is big, it flags danger and stamps the memory with extra glue. That's why certain mistakes replay in night vision green. You can't delete the stamp, but you can refile it. The 3R cycle is your filing system. Recognize, regulate, redirect. 3 verbs you can run in 2 minutes or in 20, depending on the size of the hit. Recognize means naming exactly what ruptured without courtroom adjectives. Regulate means bringing your body back within the window where choice lives, using your breath and the sanctuary circuit from earlier. Redirect means choosing a smallest true action that either repairs impact or advances your values despite the bruise. The order matters. If you skip recognize, the body keeps asking, "What happened?" If you skip regulate, you aim with a shaking hand. If you skip redirect, rumination turns the bruise into a brand. Feel your body for a beat. Cool air at the rim of your nostrils, warmer air leaving, the weight of your tongue resting heavy, the back of your neck lengthening on the exhale. Name a recent rupture in 6 words, sent outdated file to client, or snapped at the person I love. Don't decorate it. Let the sentence sit like a clean label on a shelf. Place a palm on your lower ribs and run 1-4-4-6 breath. Widen your gaze to include the corners of the room. It's remarkable how quickly the nervous system loosens its grip when you feed it oxygen and sightlines. Now redirect by choosing a smallest true action. Send corrected file with a 2-line note or text 1 repair sentence. The 3R cycle is not absolution, it's traction. A story from a team where the break was public. Neelam, a marketer, pushed a campaign live with an old price in the first graphic. Screenshots spread faster than she could breathe. She felt heat pour into her face, vision narrowing to a tunnel. Her chest said run, Slack said fix. She opened a blank note, recognize, old price published, it's my era. Regulate, 2 physiological sighs, shoulder blades down and back, eyes soft to the edges of her screen. Redirect, replace asset, post correction, write 2-line responsibility note to partners. She messaged, we published an outdated price. I've corrected the asset and posted a fix. Responsibility is mine, thanks for your patience. A few replies were snark, most were relieved. The campaign recovered. More important, Neelam's identity did, not person who ruins launches, but person who repairs quickly and cleanly. Check your hands. Are they cool or warm? Rub thumb across forefinger and feel the ridges, proof you exist in a body, not just a browser. Let your jaw unhook by a hair. Hear the smallest sound, air, a fridge, distant traffic. These micro-anchors tell your limbic system the fire is in the past. We're here now with levers. The second framework is the fact debrief. When a setback lingers, you'll spend 3 minutes writing 4 short lines. Facts, assumptions, choices, tiny next. Facts are the camera's view, no opinion, just what happened. Assumptions are the story your brain added, motives you guessed, futures you predicted. Choices are the moves you made or didn't make, in 1 sentence each. Tiny next is the smallest action that would make the next minute less likely to repeat the mistake or to repair the human cost. Fact untangles shame from data. Shame is sticky, data moves. Use it on a personal bruise. Write in your head, facts. I arrived 10 minutes late to the friend's dinner and didn't text. Assumptions, they think I don't care. Choices, I ignored the traffic warning, I chose not to text in the elevator. Tiny next, send a 2-line apology naming impact and ask for a next date. Then do it. I'm sorry I was late and didn't text. I made you wait and that matters. Can I take you to coffee Friday? That's not etiquette theater. That's nervous system repair. You reduce ambiguity, offer a path, reclaim authorship. A home vignette where the 3R cycle saved a weekend. Serena promised her daughter she'd attend the school performance. A client emergency bled into the hour, she missed it. Guilt sat like a stone in her ribs. Old pattern, overcompensate with gifts, then defend. New pattern, recognize, I missed it and I broke a promise. Regulate, hand to heart, sanctuary circuit, 1 minute at the door where the air felt cooler on her cheeks. Redirect, kneel to eye level. I'm sorry I wasn't there. I know it hurt. I'm asking for the next date now and will block it. Tonight, I want to hear every moment you loved. The repair didn't erase the miss. It stopped the miss from expanding into a story about who Serena is. That's the difference between rupture and identity theft. Science simple and kind. Memory reconsolidation means that when a charged memory is reactivated in a calmer state, the brain can update its tags. When you revisit an error while regulated, you teach your hippocampus and amygdala a new association. Mistake plus repair rather than mistake plus doom. Over time, this reduces the shock of similar hits. You start bracing less and responding more. Take a sensory beat, the fabric against your collarbone, the slow rise of your ribs on the inhale, the slightly longer fall on the exhale, the outline of objects, the curve of a cup, the straight line of a book's edge. You're widening the window again, one small signal at a time. Sometimes the rupture isn't an error, it's feedback that lands like a stone. Your mind rushes to court. You'll counter with the impact intention bridge. It's a tiny sentence you can use in real time. I hear the impact is X. My intention was Y. Here's my next move. It acknowledges their reality without erasing yours and points the room toward a fix. I hear the impact is you felt left out. My intention was speed. Next move is sharing the draft earlier and naming the cutoffs. Delivered from a regulated body, the bridge turns attack into alignment. It also teaches your system that dignity and humility can coexist. At work, Jordan used the bridge after a tense retrospective. A teammate said, "You steamrolled the timeline." Jordan's chest tightened, his jaw wanted to argue. He ran one slow 4-4-6, widened his gaze, then said, "I hear the impact is you felt steamrolled. My intention was to protect scope. Next move is to propose a shared cutoff we can revise together." The room softened because it felt seen. He didn't swallow blame that wasn't his. He owned the part that was. Notice your feet. Spread the toes inside your shoes and feel the floor return your weight. Let the back of your neck lengthen. The body's cues make the bridge sound like an invitation, not a defense. Here's a micro drill for the moments you want to hide, the 90-second shame shower. You set a timer, sit tall, and allow the heat and hollow of shame to wash over you while you breathe. Exhale heavy and place a warm palm on your sternum. You label softly, "wave of shame." When the timer ends, you stand, take 3 slow steps, and run the 3R cycle. Shame metabolizes when it's witnessed kindly and paired with a micro move. When you deny it, it ferments. A story from creative work. Aria shipped a newsletter with a broken link to her entire list. Replies arrived with varying degrees of kindness. She wanted to disappear. She set the timer and let the heat move through while she breathed, hand to sternum. Then she recognized, broken link sent, people inconvenienced. Regulated, sanctuary circuit. Redirected, send corrected link with a concise apology and a small bonus resource. Add a link check to the step 0. The next week, she posted the step 0 above her screen. Mistakes kept happening in life. This one didn't repeat. You might be tempted to turn every setback into a treatise. Don't. The fact debrief is purposely small so you don't build a shrine to the error. Precision is the antidote to rumination. Rumination is the brain's attempt to retro-control the past. Precision is the reminder that control only exists in the next inch. Feel the coolness on your forearms where air moves. Hear a sound you didn't make and let it be. Let your exhale grow 1 count longer. This is the pacing of repair, slow enough to be honest, quick enough to prevent a spiral. Sometimes the break is loss, not error. A deal falls through, a friendship drifts. Grief is intelligent. It insists on being felt. The 3R cycle adapts. Recognize names the loss without shrinking it. Regulate makes space for the wave. Redirect chooses a ritual or a smallest act of love that prevents collapse into numb scrolling. After a rejection, redirect might be send one kind note to someone else trying. After a breakup, it might be walk to the park with water and sit in the same patch of sun for 5 minutes daily. These aren't fixes. They're threads that keep you woven to life while the heart pries itself open. A relationship vignette, tender and messy. Dev and Lena agreed to pause after months of misfires. Dev stood in a kitchen that smelled like citrus and cardboard because he'd been packing. Recognize, we are pausing, it hurts. Regulate, hand to ribs, eyes soft to the window tree, one long exhale that trembled. Redirect, text, I care about you and I'm taking space like we agreed. I'll check in 2 weeks with one true thing I'm learning. Then call a friend and ask for a walk. The walk didn't solve love. It returned Dev to a body that could hold it. Why redirecting matters. The basal ganglia love repetition. If your redirect after pain is avoidance, avoidance wires in. If your redirect is a small act of value, clarity, kindness, craft, value wires in. This is identity by accretion. You're not carving yourself with slogans, you're laying bricks of action under your feet. A practical bit that saves hours of repair later, the pre-commit repair. When you start something fraught, new project, tough talk, you pre-write how you'll fix the most likely rupture. If we miss a meeting, we'll send a 2-line summary and propose a new time within an hour. If I snap, I'll say, pause, I'm heated, I'll return soft in 10. Pre-commits calm your system because they turn unknowns into procedures. Procedures reduce alarm. Feel the edges of your body in space, weight, temperature, contact points. Let the shoulders drop by a notch. If your jaw clenched during this chapter, let the tongue rest heavy. You are not performing resilience. You are adjusting signals. Here's a live sequence you can run the next time you feel you've blown it. Whisper in your head, recognize, and name the thing in 6 words. Whisper, regulate, and run a sanctuary circuit, soft eyes 1446. Whisper, redirect, and choose the smallest repair. Then write a 30-second fact, one assumption you'll set aside, one choice you'll make, one tiny next. If another voice says, this is not enough, answer, it's enough for the next minute. Then move. Later, if the situation is large, schedule a longer debrief. For now, keep your promise to return to the inch. Another work story to crystallize. Hannah, an engineer, merged code that broke staging. Alarms, pings, the ancient fear of being the weak link. She wanted to disappear into a fixing-it cave. Instead, she 3R'd, recognize, my merge broke staging. Regulate, physiological size, posture lift, wide gaze. Redirect, post in channel, broke staging, rolling back, ETA 8 minutes. After fix, I'll pair with K on guardrail. Later facts, tests passed locally, staging failed on N variable. Assumptions, I thought my pattern matched prod. Choices, merged late, skipped a second pair. Tiny next, add N variable check. Schedule pair review before end of day. Her team didn't take her head. They copied her debrief template. A sensory pause, the line of light across your table, the faint scent in the room, soap, paper, coffee, or nothing, the pressure of your feet. You're building capacity to look at reality without flinching, then move. When the rupture involves trust with someone you care about, the repair arc helps. 3 pieces over 3 minutes, not a monologue. Impact, ownership, offer. Impact, when I missed the call, you felt alone. Ownership, I didn't message when plans changed. Offer, I can call at 7 or send a summary now, which helps. Keep your voice soft and your shoulders down. Your nervous system will want to over-explain to escape discomfort. Don't. Clean arcs build bridges. Bridges carry weight. There will be days you can't find the redirect. On those days, your tiny next is simply to keep the wound clean. That looks like water, walk, right. Water, drink a tall glass, physiology first. Walk 3 minutes around the block or down a hallway, big muscles swing mood. Write one sentence that names what still matters to you despite the hit. That sentence is the stitch that keeps you from unraveling. Consider an athlete's cut. It doesn't heal because you stare at it and feel bad. It heals because you clean it, protect it, and keep moving around it with respect. Your setbacks deserve the same undramatic care. Clean with truth, protect with breath and boundaries, move with a smallest true step. Feel the back of your heart soften against gravity, a place we rarely notice. Let the exhale be warm and slow. Whisper, I am the awareness, not the emotion. Add, I repair quickly and kindly. Notice if dignity rises a notch, not from being perfect, but from knowing what to do when you're not. One last story close to the bone. Amir, the developer who touched the wall to steady himself months ago, shipped a feature that tanked a key metric. Finance flagged it within hours. Old Amir would have vanished. This Amir stood, pressed his fingers to the cool wall, and ran 3R recognize, my feature lowered conversion. Regulate, two size, soft eyes, jaw loose. Redirect, roll back, post responsibility, propose a diagnostic plan. He then wrote a facts, conversion dropped 7%, rollback restored baseline, assumptions, users resisted the new sequence, we didn't test mobile enough, choices, shortened flow without enough edge case review, tiny next, design a 48-hour A/B with one change, co-own with PM. He didn't enjoy the meeting that followed. He did leave it with a spine. His teammates began using 3R language unprompted. Culture shifted a degree because one person handled a break without theatrics. Close your eyes for a breath if it's safe. Inhale cool, exhale warm. Sense the ground holding you without conditions. When the next crack appears, and it will, you have a cycle and a debrief, a bridge for impact and a shower for shame. You are not trying to prove you don't break. You are proving you know how to set the bone. When the day hands you a bruise, run the 3R cycle. When your mind wants to write a saga, write a fact instead. When a person says, that hurt, build the impact, intention bridge. When shame surges, stand under the 90-second shower. You won't become someone who glides above life. You will become someone life can trust with its mess because you move from rupture to repair without burning the village or yourself. Breathe once more. Let the shoulders drop a notch. See the room's edges. Feel your ribs rise and fall. Then take the smallest true step in the direction of the person you're practicing being. It will feel like nothing and accumulate like everything. You're not doing this alone, even when you think you are. Your nervous system is talking to every nervous system around it, at the grocery line, in a sprint review, across a dinner table. Stress and steadiness are both contagious. You've trained your inner minutes. Now you'll learn to shape the field you share with others so your calm multiplies instead of getting diluted. This isn't about control. It's about conductance, how quickly states travel between people and what you broadcast on purpose. You'll build two frameworks: the calm Cascade, which turns your regulation into leadership in under a minute, and the micro-alignment cycle, which keeps relationships pointed in the same direction when pressure bends them. You'll practice 1-minute syncs that make meetings shorter, conflicts cleaner, and home warmer. The promise is simple. When you co-regulate wisely, you don't carry the room, you tune it. Start with biology, but keep it human. Mirror neurons and the vagus nerve form a quiet radio between people, faces, tones, rhythms. Your brain is constantly asking, are we safe? Are we seen? Is there a plan? If the answers arrive in the body before the words, rooms unwind. That's the calm cascade. It has 4 moves you can run in 60 seconds before any shared moment. Anchor, acknowledge, aim, ask. Anchor is your state, 1-4-4-6 breath, soft eyes, shoulder blades down so your chest voice rounds. Acknowledge names the weather in the room without blaming. We're coming in hot from the last call. Aim points to a smallest true outcome. Let's leave with the next 2 decisions. Ask invites co-ownership with 1 question. Anything critical before we choose? The cascade isn't a speech. It's a feeling plus a sentence that sets the nervous system's tempo. Feel your own body right now. Cool air at your nostrils as you inhale, warmer as you exhale. Let your tongue rest heavy. Widen your gaze to include the edges of the room. Whisper anchor, 1 quiet 4-4-6. Whisper acknowledge, it's been a day. Whisper aim, 1 useful inch. Whisper ask, anything critical? Notice the throat unclench a notch. That notch is what other people pick up as permission to breathe. A story at work. Kaito ran weekly cross-functional syncs that used to feel like a tangle of overlapping anxieties. People arrived late, defended slides, and left with fog. The first week he tried the calm cascade, he stood in silence for 1 breath before speaking. We're all carrying overflow from launches. We'll leave with 2 decisions. Timeline for scope cut, owner for the draft. Anything burning we must name first. Someone raised a risk. Kaito wrote it and said, great, triage at 25. The meeting landed 10 minutes early with clarity and no heroics. The team felt different without naming why. Regulation had changed the acoustics. Decisions sounded cleaner. Sensory beat. The weight of your phone in your pocket or the friendly absence of it. The temperature at your wrists where the skin is thin. The faint hum in the room, fridge, traffic, a light. Your body is where leadership begins. Words are the ripple. Your second framework is the micro-alignment cycle. Projects crack and relationships drift not because people are bad, but because alignment decays under speed and silence. The cycle has 3 loops: map, mesh, maintain. Map means write the smallest shared map in 60 seconds. Goal, guardrails, good enough. Goal is 1 sentence. Guardrails are 2 don'ts. Good enough is what gets us out of the room today. Mesh is a 2-line mutual check. What do you need from me to keep trust? Here's what I need from you. Maintain is a rhythmic 30-60 second touchpoint that prevents drift. Still true, anything changed, next inch. The cycle feels like over-communication until you feel how much friction it removes. Your anterior cingulate loves conflict resolved before it escalates. Run a quick map with something live. Feel the chair under your thighs, the give and return. Whisper, goal, finish the draft by 3. Guardrails, no new features, no slide polish. Good enough, outline with 3 proof points. If you imagine a partner, mesh with them in your head. I need your numbers by 2:15, you'll get my outline by 2:30. Maintain at 2:20, still true. This is boring in the way that rails are boring until you feel the train glide. A home vignette. Taryn and Nor fought about chores like it was a referendum on love. Saturday mornings began with sighs and ended with scorekeeping. One weekend, Taryn tried the calm cascade before the conversation. Anchor breath, acknowledge we are both tired, aim, leave with a simple loop, ask, okay? They ran a micro-alignment cycle on paper. Map, goal, house in baseline order by noon. Guardrails, no silent resentment, no surprise commitments. Good enough, kitchen counters clear, laundry in baskets, floors quick swept. Mesh, I need a 30-minute focus window, you need a coffee first and a podcast. Maintain a 2-sentence check every half hour. The house didn't sparkle, the air did. They stopped proving their worth with martyrdom and started proving it with rhythm. Why this works at the level of circuits. Co-regulation increases vagal tone in the group. Clear aims reduce ambiguity, which lowers cortisol. Short check-ins prevent the prediction errors that trigger alarm. You're not hacking people. You're designing a corridor where nervous systems don't have to sprint and hide. Take another sensory beat. Let your eyes rest on one object and notice a detail you usually skip: the scratch on a mug, the glint on a key. Let your shoulders drop one notch. Let the exhale be a count longer. Rooms follow breath like birds follow currents. Because conflict will still arrive, you'll install a 1-minute move called the heat to handle. When tension spikes, you won't debate paragraphs. You'll convert heat into a handle everyone can hold. 3 steps: temperature, topic, tiny next. Temperature names the state. We are heated. Topic narrows scope. We are arguing scope, not respect. Tiny next commits 1 minute, 2 numbers, then pick. You deliver it from a rounded voice and a relaxed jaw. The handle replaces a whirlpool with a wheel. A story in a tense review. Leela's design was on the table. A senior PM said, "This is fluffy." The room froze. Old Leela would defend with volume. New Leela ran the heat to handle, anchored by a 446 she'd practiced. We are heated. Topic is the conversion step, not all of design. Tiny next. 2 numbers we're optimizing, then we choose the next test. Her voice stayed kind because her shoulders stayed low. The room grabbed the handle and moved. Notice your hands. Press thumb and forefinger, then release. Feel the skin's warmth returning. This is how small a lever can be and still turn a room. Add a micro drill for meetings that sprawl, the 60-second sync. At the top of any gathering, someone does anchor and acknowledge. Then 3 people answer in 1 sentence each. I'm here with, what I need is, my next inch is. Humans like sequences. The sync gives 1. It also reveals hidden conflict before it becomes sabotage. A team vignette. The data squad kept mysteriously missing deadlines. In a Monday sync, Myra said, "I'm here with a brain that's slow. What I need is a clear order. My next inch is pushing the script to staging." The lead realized everyone had been pretending energy was infinite. They used the charge, drain ledger from earlier to adjust load. Deadlines held because honesty did. Science briefly. When people name states and small needs, oxytocin nudges trust. When they see actions attached to those needs, dopamine rewards the loop. Safety is not a vibe. It's a nervous system predicting that truth won't be punished. Let your breath brush the back of your throat like fog on glass. Feel the weight of your feet or their absence if you're standing. Sense the back of your heart soften a hair. Bodies listen to this before they listen to slides. You'll also meet social exhaustion, the cost of being on. Use the social battery tap. Before a shared moment, you tap your sternum gently 3 times, pair it with 1446, and ask, what tiny honest thing could lower cost? Maybe it's camera off for 10 minutes, 1 true line instead of 15 safe ones, or 1 joke to loosen the ice. The tap isn't mystical. It's a cue you pair with conservation choices so you don't spend courage dollars impressing the wrong gods. A small home story. Jamie dreaded family dinners because politics turned oxygen into ash. Before ringing the bell, she ran the tap, then the calm cascade at the table. Feels like everyone's carrying heat from the week. Aim, 2 stories from each person about something that surprised them. Then we can argue policy for 10 minutes at the end. People laughed. The argument still happened, but it lived in a smaller container and didn't poison dessert. Jamie didn't change minds, she changed minutes. When you need to ask for effort under strain, combine co-regulation with a clean request using the 3C ask: clear, considerate, contained. Clear names the task in one sentence. Considerate acknowledges their load. Contained sets scope and time. Can you review the red lines for sections 2 and 3 by 2 p.m.? I know you're juggling 3 docs. I've kept this to 10 minutes. Delivered from a regulated body, the 3C ask sounds like partnership, not extraction. Feel the cool at the rims of your nostrils again. Hear a sound you don't control and let it pass like weather. Rest your tongue. Your voice will thank you by coming out rounder. When stakes rise, groups default to speed or silence. You'll install the 2-speed room to conserve intelligence. 1 minute to label the speed we're in, 1 sentence to explain why. We're in fast mode for 5 minutes to decide the path, then we slow for 10 to catch risks. Naming speed keeps fast from becoming frantic and slow from becoming stuck. Your team's cortisol drops because the gear shift is visible. A product story: the launch war room pulsed with adrenaline. People talked over each other, the quiet ones disappeared. Priyanka did the 2-speed room with the calm Cascade. We're hot. 5 minutes fast to pick the rollback threshold, then 10 slow to map comms. They moved like a school of fish instead of a swarm of bees. The release still hiccuped. The people didn't. Include repair in culture, not just crisis. Use the 1-line appreciation and the 1-line apology as weekly habits. Appreciation: when you did X, the impact was Y, thank you. Apology: when I did X, the impact was Y, next time I'll Z. These sentences are nervous system tools, not HR slogans. They tag behaviors with social dopamine and move shame quickly out of the body. A leader vignette. Rosa sent a Friday note with 3 appreciations and 1 clean apology. When you asked for clarity at the stand-up, you saved us an hour. When you paired on QA, release avoided a bug. When I cut you off Tuesday, the impact was you felt small. I'm sorry, next time I'll say, hold me if I interrupt. Monday felt different, not because the words were magical, but because bodies relaxed around predictability. Take a sensory pause: the edge of light on a table, the faint smell, if any, in the air: paper, soap, dust, the warmth at your palms. Predictability is a kindness your nervous system never gets tired of. For relationships that matter most, set a 60-second ritual you don't skip, even when you're late. Hand on the door, breath together, 1 sentence each. I'm here with, I appreciate, 1 ask. It's corny until you feel the week stack kinder, because the ritual exists when moods don't. A tender story. Kenji and Asha kept losing each other to logistics and screens. They chose a bedtime ritual: 1 slow exhale together, then each said, I appreciated when you, and I need tomorrow. The first week was stiff. By week 3, their bodies anticipated the softness. Arguments still flared. The ritual turned them from events into episodes. Why all of this matters beyond niceness. Co-regulation preserves executive function across a system. In a regulated group, fewer amygdalas are driving, more prefrontal cortices are available. That means cleaner choices, faster repairs, and less wasted energy. Culture is a chain of minute wins shared. Sensory beat: let your shoulders settle. Feel your spine lengthen a centimeter. Let your exhale be warm and just a beat longer. Imagine the room catching your rhythm like a song. When you're the least powerful person in the room, you still have levers. Use the ground and guide. Ground: regulate your own body, soft eyes, 446. Guide: ask a question that shrinks chaos. What problem are we solving in this minute? Or what would success look like by 20? Questions are steering wheels you can offer without a badge. A junior story. Mina, new to the team, watched leaders veer into blame. Her heart hammered, her hands cooled. She grounded, then said, "Can we pick the success sentence for the next 20 minutes?" The tension broke because someone had offered a handle. Authority is a state as much as a title. You'll also need fences. When a room is spinning, deploy the boundary bridge for groups. Name need next, but to the whole. We're sliding into crosstalk. I need one voice at a time to catch the right problems. Next, stack hands, raise, then speak in order. Delivered from a regulated chest, the room obeys because it's tired and grateful. Feel your jaw unclench by a hair. Notice the texture under your fingertips, smooth, grainy, warm. Let your breath brush your palate. If this sounds like choreography, that's because it is. Choreography frees art. Install a shared language so you're not the only regulator. Teach your team the calm cascade and the micro-alignment cycle. Put the heat to handle and 60-second sync in the wiki. Share the 2-speed room and the 3C ask. Culture is repetition plus permission. The first time you pause for a breath in a meeting, people look. The 5th time, they follow. The 10th, someone else does it first. A closing story to braid this into identity. Remember Maya, who saved a deal with one question? Months later, as VP, she walked into a quarterly review after a product slip. Faces tight, voices sharp. She stood, breathed once, and ran the calm cascade. "We're coming in hot. Aim is 3 decisions. Rollback threshold, comms owner, next experiment. Anything burning before we choose." She drew a tiny map on a whiteboard. Goal, guardrails, good enough. Mid-meeting, when voices rose, she used heat to handle. "We're heated. Topic is the metric, not motivation. Tiny next is 2 numbers." At the end, she ran a 1-minute maintain. "Still true? Anything change? Next inch?" People left tired and intact. Later, she sent a 1-line apology to someone she'd cut off and a 1-line appreciation to the engineer who named the risk early. Her team didn't worship her calm, they joined it. That's conductance. One more breath. Cool in, warm out. Feel the ground return your weight, a kindness that never asks. Let your gaze widen to include the corners of the room. Whisper inside, "I am the awareness, not the emotion. I am also the tuning fork, not the storm." That sentence isn't a crown. It's a tool you pick up when rooms need a rhythm you can give. Here's your live 1-minute co-regulation drill. Before your next shared moment, run anchor with a 4-4-6. Acknowledge the weather in 1 line. Aim the minute with 1 concrete outcome. Ask 1 clean question. If heat rises, convert it to a handle. Temperature, topic, tiny next. If drift appears, micro-align. Still true? Anything changed? Next inch? Then send 1 one-line appreciation before the day ends. It will feel small. It will travel farther than you think, because bodies understand small. You've spent chapters mastering your inner minutes. Now you're exporting steadiness. The calm cascade turns presence into leadership in 60 seconds. The micro-alignment cycle keeps trust from evaporating. Heat to handle gives conflict a wheel. The 60-second sync and 2-speed room give groups a pulse. The 3C ask communicates without extraction. None of this requires a title. It requires breath, clarity, and the willingness to go first for 1 minute. That's how culture bends, 3% at a time, then all at once. Momentum is a shy animal. It shows up when you feed it, then bolts the first time you chase it with pressure. You've learned to win single minutes and shape rooms. Now we'll stitch your wins into a rhythm that carries weeks. This isn't about rigid routines that break the first time a storm hits. It's about building a living system, light, strong, and forgiving that keeps you moving when life doesn't cooperate. You'll use two frameworks to make resilience durable: the Keystone Minute and the Anti-Fragile Calendar. Then you'll layer a tiny audit that catches drift before it becomes derailment. This is the chapter where you stop starting over and start continuing. Begin with the Keystone Minute. Not a habit stack, not a morning miracle, just one repeatable 60-second behavior that, when done, makes other good things easier and bad things less tempting. The Keystone has three traits. It's portable across contexts, it broadcasts safety to your nervous system, and it tilts attention toward your North Star note. You'll choose it, name it, and anchor it to a daily cue you cannot miss. The structure is simple: cue, Keystone, confirmation. Cue is an event you already do: keys in door, kettle on, calendar open. Keystone is 1 minute of a practice that lights your system: a 4-4-6 plus 1 written sentence, a 60-second walk outside with eyes soft, a 1-minute tidy of your workspace while whispering your day's aim. Confirmation is a 2-word tag you say or type, marked that, to stamp the loop with dopamine so your brain wants more. Feel the cool air brushing your nostrils, warmer as you exhale. Notice the pressure where your thighs meet the chair. Choose a cue you cannot miss tomorrow morning. Name a Keystone you can do even on a bad day. Whisper your tag, marked that. You didn't commit to becoming a different person by dawn. You committed to a single minute that remembers who you are when you forget. A story at the edge of burnout. Sonia, a lead nurse, used to pin her hopes on perfect mornings. When the shift called early, perfection fled and shame followed. She picked a Keystone Minute that survived chaos. At the locker before clocking in, she placed her palm on her ribs, ran 1446, and wrote a single line on a pocket card. Today's inch. Check wound care schedule by 9. Confirmation. A tiny dot on the card she kept for the week. On days when alarms screamed, she still had the dot. Her team started noticing her steadiness. She hadn't found free time, she found a portable minute that made the next one cleaner. Your brain loves predictability and punishes you when you demand perfection. Keystones work because they shrink the promise to a size your nervous system will accept even while tired. The reticular activating system learns to expect the minute and begins preparing for it. That's momentum without theatrics. Now the anti-fragile calendar. Most calendars are brittle. One meeting moves and the day shatters. This framework makes time that benefits from small shocks instead of breaking under them. It rests on 3 moves you can set up in 15 minutes and run forever: buffers, buckets, and borrowing. Buffers are your scheduled hinges from the transition tiny ritual, 2 to 5 minutes between commitments to close, clear, choose. If a meeting ends early, you don't spend the windfall, you still run the buffer. Buckets are named blocks tied to identities, not tasks. Build, learn, connect, recover. You fill them with minute wins that fit the theme. Borrowing is a rule. When a bucket gets robbed by life, you borrow back the same type of minutes within 48 hours, but smaller, 2 or 3 keystones slipped into spare corners. No debt spirals, just gentle accounting. The calendar becomes an organism that flexes and heals. Test the feeling. Soften your gaze to include the room's edges. Hear a faint sound, HVAC, traffic, a light. Imagine tomorrow with 2 buffers you protect like vitamins, 3 buckets you label in your head, and a borrow rule you apply with kindness. Your shoulders may drop a notch because your system likes corridors more than cliffs. A work vignette. Quinn, a PM, used to block deep work in 4-hour slabs that vanished under interruptions. The anti-fragile calendar changed the texture of his week. He set 5-minute buffers before and after important meetings. He named morning buckets: build 9:30, 10:30, connect 11:12, recover 2:32, 40, learn 4:34, 45. When a crisis ate the build hour, he borrowed back with 2 Keystone minutes, outlined 3 bullets during a train ride, and a 60-second spec tidy while waiting for a Zoom to start. The project shipped not because he became untouchable, but because his system absorbed shocks without collapsing. Why this works in your biology: predictable micro-recovery keeps heart rate variability flexible. Naming buckets reduces decision fatigue by narrowing options. Borrowing prevents learned helplessness. Your brain sees you restore what mattered, so it stops labeling interruptions as permanent failure. You're training optimism that's earned, not forced. Check your jaw, let the tongue rest heavy, feel the shirt on your collarbone, let the exhale be a hair longer. Small signals, big returns. Every system drifts. You need a way to catch drift at the level of minute, day, and self without self-attack. Enter the Identity Drift Audit. It's a 180-second weekly check on 3 domains: minutes, mood, meaning. You ask out loud or on paper, which minutes this week felt most like me? Where did my mood steer without permission? What tiny move will make next week feel more like my North Star note? Then you select 1 Keystone adjustment and 1 bucket swap. This keeps you from reinventing your life to fix a week that just needs a 2-degree turn. A home story. Amal and Priya adopted the audit on Sunday nights. Minutes: best walks after dinner, worst post 9 p.m. scroll. Mood: short with each other midweek. Meaning: we want more friend time. Keystone tweak: doorway reset before dinner even when starving. Bucket swap: move learn to lunch, connect Thursday night, invite 1 friend couple. The week didn't transform into cinema, but the evenings got 10% warmer and their phones stayed in a drawer after 9 twice. That tilt changed how Friday felt. Let a sensory beat anchor this. Sweep your thumbs slowly over your opposite palm and feel the ridges like a tiny topographic map. Hear the quietest sound in the room. Sense your shoulder blades slide down and back a notch. The body will trust a system that feels gentle. Because life will spike, you need a way to plan for storms without living in them. Use the friction forecast. Once per week, you list the 3 most likely derailers: travel day, tough conversation, deadline pileup, and you prefit 1 Keystone and 1 borrow rule for each. Travel Tuesday, Keystone on boarding 446 plus 1 line aim, borrow a build minute while taxiing. Tough talk Thursday, run calm Cascade, borrow a recover minute after. Forecasting doesn't jinx, it unspooks. A story from a sales org in a quarter-end crunch. Dana's team traditionally white-knuckled the last week and then collapsed. She ran a friction forecast as a group. Derailers: late client asks, internal escalations, sleep debt. Keystones: 60-second breath before outbound calls, 3C asks to tame escalations, pillowgate every night even if they got home at midnight. Borrow rule: any stolen learn bucket repaid Friday with a 15-minute debrief using FACT. Revenue landed. People didn't shatter. The team learned that anti-fragile is an atmosphere you can feel. Check your breath. Inhale, ribs rise. Exhale, they fall slightly longer. Notice the temperature at your wrists where skin thins. Your nervous system coats plans in calm when the body speaks this language. Because you'll sometimes grind even good systems into dust, install the unbreak day. It's not a cheat day, it's a maintenance day protected from heroics. Once every 7 to 10 days, you observe 3 rules. Keystone only: no new habits. Buffers enforced, you keep them like sacred interludes, and gentle work, only tasks that reduce future friction, labeling files, writing 5-line plays, meal prep, 20-minute money check. The unbreak day resets strain to stretch. Without it, resilience becomes performative and then brittle. A story from academia. Ria, a doctoral student, aimed high and burned. She made Sunday her unbreak day. Morning, Keystone with tea and a one-line aim, buffers guarding email and calls, gentle work, prep citations, clean code folder, write 3 gratitude in shadow lines to dissolve envy. By evening, her brain felt like clear glass instead of gravel. The week didn't demand a hero, it received a person. You've collected many tools. Integration makes them sing. The Keystone Minute can pair with the wrist anchor. The anti-fragile calendar wraps the focus fence and boundary bridge. The identity drift audit cleans residue that 3R misses. The friction forecast pre-wires heat to handle sentences when you're tired. You are building an operating system that prefers humane defaults. Feel the back of your neck lengthen, let the chin drop a degree. Sense the ground's patience under your feet. Let your exhale be warm and a count longer. You're telling your system, we are not sprinting through a life, we are inhabiting it. Because many ambitions fail at scale, we add a way to grow without tipping. The 3% growth rail is a 2-week micro-sprint with guardrails. You pick one domain, health, craft, connection, and write a rail in a single sentence. For 14 days, add 3% more specific behavior, anchored to specific cue, protected by specific boundary. Example, for 14 days, add 3% more reading, 2 pages after lunch, protected by a 15-minute camera off lunch. You track with dots, not paragraphs. Rails are finite, so your nervous system agrees. They're small, so they compound. A creative story. Malik wanted to rebuild guitar practice without waking perfectionism. Rail, for 14 days, 2-minute scales after brushing teeth, protected by no phone in bathroom. He missed day 3. He borrowed back with a night Keystone, 2 minutes of finger rolls while water boiled. Day 14 came with calluses and a quieter critic. The habit didn't form because willpower muscled in. It formed because the system made it lovely to keep promises to himself. Science briefly, variable reinforcement, small, frequent wins, builds durable habit loops faster than large, rare wins. Your striatum learns the rhythm. Your ACC relaxes because conflict is low. Your prefrontal cortex stays online because oxygen and glucose aren't taxed by decision drama. Your minutes become a choir. Sensory beat. Look at one object nearby, the curve of a mug, a scratch on a phone case, and notice one detail you've never catalogued. Let your shoulders drop a notch. The brain that can attend gently can decide gently, and gentle decisions repeat. Because self-respect grows when tracked, but tracking can become a bully, use the ripple ledger. You capture outcomes not as streaks to worship, but as ripples caused by minute wins. At day's end, you write 3 lines. Minute I won, ripple it caused, person it touched. Ran calm Cascade before check-in, ripple tighter agenda, person ye looked relieved. This shifts your focus from moral scoring to impact mapping. Motivation thickens when you see why your minute matters beyond you. A team vignette. A small non-profit adopted the Ripple ledger in their daily stand-up. Minutes 1, a 60-second sync that trimmed meetings, a boundary bridge that protected 2 hours of calls, a focus fence that birthed a grant paragraph. Ripples, donors responded faster, clients felt seen, staff went home earlier. People cried on Friday, not because of grind, but because of meaning felt in small seams. Check your hands. Are your palms cool or warm? Press thumb to forefinger and notice the skin recover. Hear a sound you don't control. These tiny proofs of life help your nervous system stamp good loops with trust. You'll still slip. A week will smear into noise. The system's rescue is the late reset. It's a 1-minute return that doesn't punish tardiness. Whisper, late is not lost. Run a sanctuary circuit, breath and gaze. Plant a keystone. Borrow 1 minute back into the most starved bucket. Tag it, marked that, back in motion. Shame can't metabolize when you give it a procedure and a door. A story on a hard season. Theo's parent got sick. He flew back and forth, slept in chairs, forgot what day it was. He kept a single keystone, 1446 at elevator doors. His anti-fragile calendar shrank to 2 buckets. Connect with doctors, siblings, and recover micronaps, water, longest exhale. He ran late resets in hospital hallways. Weeks later, work hadn't exploded. He hadn't become superhuman. He had a system that shrank to fit the day and then stretched again without breaking. There's one more lever to make systems social, so you're not the only engine, the buddy beacon. It's a 30-second, twice-weekly exchange with someone you trust. No pep talks, no therapy, just 2 messages. Keystone done today, and next inch. If you miss, the other sends a neutral nudge. Borrow back now with 1 minute. This is accountability without shame. The beacon keeps lights on in both directions. A final integration story. Remember Maya, now VP? She set a Keystone minute with her leaders, 60 seconds before stand-up to read their North Star note and write 1 sentence. She rebuilt the team's calendar with buffers and buckets, wrote borrow rules in the wiki, and installed a Friday 180-second identity drift audit for everyone, with 1 question added. What ripple are you proud of? She forecasted friction for launches and holidays. When a quarter hiccuped, the late reset prevented a blame spiral. Months later, their numbers were better. So were their faces. Feel the back of your heart soften, a part of you that rarely gets named. Let the breath warm the back of your throat. Let your shoulders hang easy like a jacket you forgot you were wearing. Whisper, I am the awareness, not the emotion, and add, I'm the system, not the swing. This isn't an ego move, it's an operating choice. Your live 1-minute integration drill before we close. Pick tomorrow's cue, name your Keystone minute, open your calendar and insert 2 buffers and label 2 buckets. Write 1 borrow rule in a note. If X steals Y, repay with Z minute within 48 hours. Draft a 1-line friction forecast for the week. Put a Sunday identity drift audit on your phone with the 3 questions. Text a buddy beacon candidate, twice a week, Keystone done, next inch. Then, right now, run the Keystone once and tag it, marked that. You just chose continuance over reboots. You don't need a perfect framework. You need a humane one that fails gracefully and recovers quickly. The Keystone minute, the anti-fragile calendar, the identity drift audit, the friction forecast, the unbreak day, the 3% growth rail, the ripple ledger, the late reset, the buddy beacon, these aren't chores. They're rails and lights for a path you're already walking. Minutes will still misbehave. Weather will still turn. But the system will keep giving you a small, honest next, and you will keep being the person who takes it. One last breath, cool in, warm out. Hear 1 small sound, see 1 overlooked detail, feel 1 part of your body soften by 3%. Tomorrow doesn't need your heroics, it needs your minute. You've made it this far not by conquering days, but by winning minutes. 1 more chapter, and we'll weld what you've learned into who you are. Not a costume you put on when you feel strong, but a baseline you return to when you feel anything. Today is about identity that behaves under pressure. We'll forge it with two final frameworks, the identity anchor and the legacy loop. Then we'll install a closing ritual, the minute oath, that seals your practice in 60 seconds you can repeat for the rest of your life. No speeches, just breath, contact, clear words, and actions small enough to fit in a crowded day and large enough to steer a crowded life. Start with the identity anchor. Titles change, seasons shift, anchors hold. Your anchor is a single sentence that combines who you are with how you act when the wind rises. Structure it like this: I am the person who core verbally when pressure by micro-behavior. You'll craft it, test it, and etch it into muscle. The neuroscience is friendly. Identity statements recruit networks that bias perception and choice. When your RAS hears, I am the person who, it starts filtering for chances to prove you right. This isn't affirmation sugar, it's a directive. The anchor only works if it includes a verb you can perform in 60 seconds. I am the person who returns to breath when alarms ring by 1446 and one smallest true step. I am the person who protects clarity when chaos visits by Mark Melt Map Move. I am the person who chooses kindness without collapse by a boundary bridge. You're not promising perfection, you're promising a move. Feel your body now, the cool entering your nostrils, the warmer leaving, the chair giving and returning under your thighs. Let your jaw loosen by one notch. Place a palm on your lower ribs. Whisper, I am the person who, and finish the sentence aloud or in your head. Keep it short enough to remember under noise. Then test it with a micro-simulation. Picture an inbox flare or a tense face. Run your verb, breath, question, boundary for exactly 1 minute. Your nervous system will recognize the sequence and preload it next time. A story to bolt it in. Nico, the designer who once argued with best versus true, was promoted to lead a sprint under a combative exec. His stomach buzzed like a hive. He wrote his anchor on a sticky. I am the person who makes rooms breathe when pressure spikes, by one calm Cascade and one heat to handle. 5 minutes before the review, he stood in a stairwell, hand on the cool rail, and practiced. In the meeting, when critique turned into crosstalk, he breathed once, softened his eyes, and said, "We're hot. Topic is onboarding steps, not brand. Tiny next, 2 numbers, then pick." The room inhaled with him. He didn't win a personality contest. He won a minute that multiplied. Let a sensory beat steady you. Rub your thumb over the pad of your index finger and feel the ridges. Hear the faintest sound in the room, a fan, traffic far away, a pipe clicking. Let your exhale lengthen a shade. The body learns identity through repetition of signals more than repetition of slogans. The legacy loop is the last framework you need because it points your minutes beyond today without bloating them. Legacy is not a statue, it's the echo of small acts repeated. The loop has 4 moves that fit in a breath's width. Notice, nourish, name, nudge. Notice the person your minute will touch. Nourish them or the system by 3%, clarity, grace, or a handle. Name the ripple in one sentence so your brain tags it. Nudge the loop forward with a micro-action others can copy. When you run the legacy loop, your resilience stops at your skin less and starts passing through you more. Culture is the sum of shared minutes. Legacy is which minutes survive. Try it now. Picture a colleague who always gets the mess late. Notice their tired eyes in your memory. Nourish. Send a 2-line note that reduces their ambiguity by naming the next true step. Name, whisper, ripple, made Friday lighter for J. Nudge. Paste the micro-template you used into the team wiki so anyone can run it. That took a minute. It will echo in rooms you won't enter. A story from home because legacies start where dishes clatter. Maya, now VP, was packing lunches at 6:42 a.m., sunlight barely finding the counter. Her teenager, Eli, squinted at a schedule and muttered doom. Old pattern, advice, then friction. Her legacy loop sounded like a sync whisper. Notice, kid's nervous system is loud. Nourish, let's name the 1 minute you want to win before homeroom. Name, Ripple, he walked in with a handle. Nudge, she wrote the quiet arrow on an index card and taped it to the fridge. A month later, the card had coffee rings and fingerprints. Eli used it the morning he had to speak in class. Aim at the next true thing, he whispered, then did. Breathe one steady cycle. Cool in, warm out. Feel the back of your neck lengthen. Your identity is starting to prefer procedure over panic, kindness over collapse, clarity over noise. Not because you talk yourself into it, because you practiced it when it mattered least, so you can perform it when it matters most. To weld anchor and legacy into the bones, you'll install the minute oath. It's a portable 60-second ritual that resets you to who you are and where your minutes go when the weather turns. The oath has 5 beats, paced by breath and touch. Beat 1, breath, 1, 4, 4, 6, while your hand rests on your ribs. Beat 2, body, widen your gaze, drop your shoulders a notch, feel your feet. Beat 3, anchor, speak your identity sentence aloud. Beat 4, aim, state the minute you will win and the ripple it serves. Beat 5, act, take the first 2 steps, micro, immediate. The oath ends with a 2-word tag, marked that. Your brain loves the closure, your day loves the continuity. Run it with me once. Breath, inhale 4, hold 4, exhale 6, jaw soft. Body, eyes include a corner of the room, shoulder blades sink, toes spread inside shoes. Anchor, I am the person who returns to breath when alarms ring by 1446 in the smallest true step. Aim, win the next minute by writing the first line. Ripple, give the team a clean start. Act, put cursor to page, write the imperfect first line and 1 bullet. Tag, marked that. You just built a bridge between your inner weather and the world. A scene to prove it travels. Hawa, a community organizer, faced a public meeting after a violent week. Grief pressed on the room like a wet coat. She wanted to fill the air with speeches. She ran the minute oath behind the podium, hand on ribs, eyes soft. Anchor, I am the person who makes space and direction under weight by the calm Cascade and 1 ask. Aim, leave with 1 resource list and a phone tree. Ripple, neighbors know who to call. Act, we're heavy. We'll leave with 2 lists. Who needs what? Who can offer what? People spoke in halting sentences. Names were written, numbers exchanged. It wasn't eloquence, it was conductance. The legacy would be phones ringing on bad nights and hands showing up on porches. Check in with your senses again, the temperature at your wrists, the texture of your sleeve at the collarbone, the hum behind the wall. The oath is mechanical on purpose. Under pressure, poetry is fragile, procedure holds. Your brain will try to turn identity into religion and punish deviation. Don't let it. Install the identity grace clause. When I miss my anchor, I run a late reset and return without ceremony. Grace keeps the system anti-fragile. Rigid identity shatters, flexible identity bends and returns. Whisper the clause now. Feel how forgiveness makes repetition more likely, not less. You may wonder how to carry this for decades without becoming joyless. The answer is to lace joy into the rails. Add a pleasure thread to your legacy loop once a day. Notice the thing that sparks wonder, nourish it by a minute, name it, nudge it forward by sharing. Wonder isn't a distraction, it's a regulator. A minute watching light on a glass, a leaf's veining, a dog's sigh, teaches your nervous system to look for safety and beauty as diligently as it looks for threat. That balance is sanity. A final story, small and precise. Amir, the developer who learned to touch the wall and breathe, the human who owned a tanked metric, the friend who kept showing up, sat at a cafe alone, midday sun washing the table into a gentle glare. A complicated email blinked on his screen. He felt the micro-flinch, the breath go shallow. He lifted his eyes to the window's edge, saw dust motes in a column of light, and smiled because he recognized the moment. Breath, body, anchor, aim, act. He wrote one honest sentence, offered one option, and closed with a kind question. He tagged it, marked that. Then he noticed the barista dancing between orders, nourished her with a two-line appreciation, named the ripple. Maybe her hour just softened, nudged it by tipping. The day didn't reverse its stress, it absorbed it. Amir wasn't the hero of a story, he was the steward of a minute. There's a line you can carry when life forgets your plans. Say it softly, I don't need the day to be small, I need the next minute to be mine. And the 3% rule of resilience has taught you how. The Minute-Win Protocol, the window widen, the 90-second weather rule, the 3% compass, the focus fence and boundary bridge, the 2-question tuner and emotional alchemy ladder, the transition tiny ritual and friction sculpting, the charge, drain ledger and sanctuary circuit, the courage, budget and micro-bravery loop, the signal switch and 5-line play, the 3R cycle and fact debrief, the calm cascade and micro-alignment cycle, the Keystone minute and anti-fragile calendar. And now the identity anchor, legacy loop, and minute oath. Not tools to carry like heavy armor. Small instruments you can play without thinking until rooms hum different. Close your eyes if it's safe. Cool in, warm out. Feel the outline of your body in space, edges, weight, temperature. Whisper, I am the awareness, not the emotion. Whisper, I am the person who returns by breath and the next inch. Name one ripple you want to exist an hour from now, then choose the smallest true action that moves it toward real. Make contact, tag it. There is no fanfare. There is you breathing, choosing, and acting minute by minute, becoming the person your life can lean on. You won't win every minute. You'll win the next one you remember to meet. That's enough. Those minutes will braid into days that look like alignment. People will misread your steadiness as luck or temperament. Smile. You know the choreography. You know the breath, the questions, the boundaries, the handles, the rails. You know how to return when you wander. That knowledge is yours to keep. Take one last inhale, hold with softness. Exhale longer, warmer, let your shoulders drop a notch. Lift your eyes. The day is whatever size it is. Your next minute is yours.